Welcome to our Game 7 watch party. The game has already started between the Milwaukee Bucks and Brooklyn Nets. We're going to hang out throughout the entire game tonight and talk about what we see, talk about some recent storylines in the NBA. We're also going to hang out a little bit afterwards, talk about, the Eastern Conference Finals preview, and just everything going on in the NBA. We have some special guests joining us as well. A few of them are here right now. We have Etan Thomas, as always, one of our writers and podcasters at basketballnews.com. We have Clips, who's one of our podcast hosts for the Follow Through with Clips and Drew on the basketballnews.com podcast network. And then we have longtime NBA veteran Francisco Elson, who's in Europe right now. It's 2:30 a.m., but he's still joining us making this happen. Francisco, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How you guys doing? Thanks for
having
me.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
a.m.
I know.
Lord.
That's the good thing about these things, though. Everyone's watching this game, so you might as well jump on here. When there's a game like this that's must-see TV, it's easier to get people to jump on because everyone's doing the same thing as we are, just sitting here watching it. So we appreciate you joining. So before this game gets too deep into it, let's talk about kind of our thoughts. Who do you guys predict is going to win this game?
Go ahead, Etan.
I mean, I got Brooklyn. The way that KD played, not last game, the game before that. I mean, a lot of it depends on how, healthy James Harden can really move and everything like that. I think it's going to be a great game because Milwaukee just showed out last game and Giannis started going inside. You know what I mean? And he really started dominating inside. But I think it's going to be a great game to the end. But I'd have to pick Brooklyn.
How about you, Francisco?
I'm going to have to go with Milwaukee.
Okay, so I think it's so interesting because Milwaukee struggled in the first two games. They were like reverting back to old Bucks. We saw they were using Giannis differently. They weren't really making the same adjustments. Chris Middleton's shot selection was different. It looked like a totally different team than the one we saw that beat Miami and that we saw throughout the regular season. But then he turned things on through games 3 through 6. Why do you have Milwaukee winning?
I have Milwaukee winning because I think in the last game, Giannis made some key plays that I liked, passing the ball pretty good. Middleton had a very good game, which very excites me to see because he's that type of player that can start some stuff up. And also Drew Holiday, he needs to get out of that slump that he's in, and they need at least 3 players to beat the Nets. So therefore, I'm going with the Bucks. And also because I played for the Bucks, so basically.
I was gonna ask if that factored in a little bit.
Yeah, that was a
I
little
get
factor right there. Yeah,
I get that. Clips. First of all, congratulations, Clips. I appreciate you.
Slept, y'all. I haven't slept 24 hours.
Still up.
I was about to say I appreciate you stopped partying. You stopped partying for an hour to join us. I appreciate that. What's your 24 hours been like?
Well, first of all, it's not partying because I had 2 podcasts to do. I've had to return 200 phone calls. I had to talk, to my OG Clipper Nation, people that have been with me for a long time. I can honestly say that last night was one of the greatest days of my life. And that's not even like funniness. I cried yesterday. I've waited my whole life for that. And Etan and I talked, at 5:30 in the morning the other day, or 6 o'clock in the morning the other day. And, man, Ty Lue doesn't get enough love. Ty Lue was absolutely amazing, adjusting, next man up mentality. Watching Terrence Mann do what he did last night was unbelievable. Paul George has showed up and showed out the whole series.
Yep.
I don't ever want to hear Pandemic P ever again. Nobody will ever say that again.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody, collective effort. Reggie Jackson's phenomenal. Nicholas Batum was such a huge pickup for us. And I think we can go into the next series and beating them even without having Kawhi. But I will tell you guys this. I do have some people in the Clipper organization. We all saw Kawhi last night. No crutches, no brace, walking around like he's fine. I think we're going to see how these first 2 games go, but expect Kawhi Leonard to play game 3 or 4.
Wow. Interesting.
That's Clip's
right.
Spicy take right now. Spicy take.
Very interesting. Okay, well, let's get back to this game really quick. We'll talk more about the Clippers later. I'm very happy for you. I felt like last time we talked, you were on our live stream on Wednesday whenever all that breaking news happened, and I felt bad, man. You were in a tough place when the Kawhi news came out. So it's much better seeing you happy and excited. I like that clips better. We'll talk about the Clippers.
I don't have to see my therapist this week. That's a good thing. No therapist this week.
So, Clips, who do you have winning this game tonight? I mean, already right now it's 11-9. This has been a good start. Who do you have winning?
You know, if Milwaukee's offense didn't disgust me as much as it does, because they cannot get into any sets. It's like a free for all. I'm just going to take Brooklyn for the simple fact they're at home, and KD's going to have another big game. I mean, James is so limited offensively right now. Like, he's just reverting to the fadeaway, fall on the ground 3-pointer. That's what he's going. That's all he's got. And his whole game is the lateral movement, the Euro stepping, and he can't do that with the hamstring. So I hope we get to talk a little more about the Bucks, because I keep texting my co-host all the time, like, yo, what is Budenholzer doing? Because this offense looks horrific. And I think they're lucky to have pulled out a couple of the games that they have.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Middleton, last game was ridiculous, seeing Giannis and Middleton put up those kind of numbers. And Middleton really has stepped up, and they're relying on him, especially late in games, to kind of be the lead scorer and take over. That's what they've been doing all season long. It's interesting because, there's been a lot of talk. If Milwaukee loses the series, do they fire Mike Budenholzer because of the lack of adjustments? I know some people have said even if they win the series, they would fire Budenholzer because they feel like he's kind of taken his team as far as he can. And you mentioned Ty Lue. He does not get enough credit because we saw this in Cleveland too, where mid-series he was so good at those adjustments and then in-game adjustments as well. I think that's the reason he got the job. Doc Rivers struggled with those kind of adjustments, and it's something that was talked about a lot. Sometimes I think those things are overblown a bit, but that's one of the reasons why I think they brought Ty Lue, or they promoted Ty Lue. So yeah, I think it's interesting to see what happens with Budenholzer, and he's really, he's kind of coaching for his life right now, I would say.
Like you said, I think he's ghost either way. There's too many good coaches out there right now that are available. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with Stotts in Portland. Like, you've gone as far as you're going to go. Like, it's just whatever you're doing isn't enough. It's time to bring in some new blood and try something new. So I think Coach Bud is out of there no matter what. That's just my opinion.
Interesting.
To me, that would be stupid to do, though, because he's a 2-time Coach of the Year type of coach. He developed basically what the Spurs always been, that camaraderie for a team. And obviously things are not working out for him in the playoffs. In the regular season, okay, that's totally different. But also, if you look at the whole squad, the way they play, he has Giannis always bringing up the ball like a point guard. And Giannis doesn't really have that how do you call it? That finesse. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, to change that game in the postseason. And he's made some adjustments throughout his career, but he's not that type of player that's going to take him over the hump. I think, because he's lacking some quality offensive skills. For instance, passing. That's his main problem. And expecting to see a double team at the right time, at the right moment to get rid of the ball, he's kind of slow at that, making early mistakes. So therefore, Bud is in a real pickle right now. Like you said, that if they don't make it to the second, if they don't get past this Nets or whatever, win the championship, he's ghost. But you can't blame Bud for these mistakes.
Whenever you were in San Antonio, was Coach Bud was there, correct?
He ran the whole system.
Right. So since you've played for him, because we're obviously outsiders talking about this. I look at I agree with you. His teams have done extremely well in the regular season. It's the same thing we saw in Atlanta too. So this has been in a conversation for a while. It's been okay. His teams win a lot of games. They get a high seed in the playoffs, and then as soon as there's some kind of tweaking or adjustment that has to happen, it really hasn't been there. That's been the big criticism. But from your experience playing with him, what are you said you wouldn't fire him if you're Milwaukee. What are the biggest things that he kind of brings to that organization, and how can he kind of get past that hump and start making those adjustments and change things?
No, but you got to be willing to pass the ball and trust the system that they play. Obviously the game has changed a lot where the 3-point shot is such a big factor in the game. And obviously, if you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the game that they played against the Miami Heat, they were passing and shooting the ball very well. That's what they have been doing for the past couple of years. And also in Atlanta, his teams has been doing that. So now, all of a sudden, this year or the last year when they got eliminated by the Miami Heat, things didn't really work out. And I think the most dominant factor is that they have a 7-foot guy bringing the ball up. That's not a problem, but also trusting to make the right pass at the right time is a big issue. You know, you bring in a type of guy that Drew Holiday that's supposed to be a point guard, and they searching for a point guard. Like, if, for instance, if you would have changed maybe Rondo in his younger years and put him on, or Chris Paul, put him on the Milwaukee Bucks, how big of an adjustment would that have been for the team? I think they would have, you know, they would have been unstoppable, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this, Francisco, because I think Drew Holiday has been fantastic for them.
He's a great player. I've played with him too.
I would really credit a lot of their success this year. I mean, to Drew Holiday, to be honest with you, especially in the playoffs. But do you think that last year, I kind of think that you can't really give any team too much praise or too much criticism from the bubble. I think the bubble's kind of, you know, it's an outlier. You know, you had some teams that looked fantastic, some players that looked fantastic, but it was a little bit different because it's the bubble. This year, you know, you have another factor with a lot of different injuries that you also have to factor in as well, being honest. But I wouldn't, for me personally, I wouldn't hold it too much of a negative mark against, you know, Milwaukee and coach for what happened in the bubble. I kind of wouldn't. I think they're doing well this year right now. Brooklyn is just a complete, like a really talented team, even with one all-star down and one kind of on one leg. They're still incredibly talented. So I don't think that if they lose this game tonight, that he should be on the hot seat because of that.
Exactly.
But, you know,
exactly my point. You know, you can't base all of that on. For instance, then you would have said that Eric Spoelstra should be out. Because last year they made it to the finals in the bubble. This year they got swept. Okay, Jimmy Butler, you know, he got the coronavirus and he was out for a long period of time. But and Tyler Hero played a very good game last year, and this year, you know, he wasn't present. So there's a lot of teams and a lot of coaches. For instance, it's crazy that Terry Stotts was still the coach last year. You know, that team looks awesome with Carmelo, Nurkic. They're big, and you know, if they compare anything to whatever they're doing, then a lot of coaches should be fired. So if Coach Buds gets fired, then I don't know how you should coach a team, because expectations are very high, obviously, each year.
Do you think sometimes coaches get too much of the credit and too much of the blame, like both ways?
Because it's a players' league, yeah. You know, that's
something that I talked to James Posey about. We were just in Tampa at the Tampa Bay Pro Combine, and we were talking about different coaches and stuff like that. And he was like, in today's NBA, the biggest thing is motivating guys and having those relationships. But because I mean, at the end of the day, he said a lot of times the coaching stuff is overblown. It really comes down to what players you have on your team. I mean, if you're Steve Nash and you have Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Blake Griffin, go down the list. I mean, it's a little bit different. So that was his argument. And I think a lot of coaches feel that way, that coaching has changed so much. In college, it's way different, I would say, than in the NBA. In the NBA, I think the responsibilities are different. One thing I'll say, just before we move off the Coach Bud topic, I think part of the problem here is that they traded 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps for Drew Holiday. They gave him a 4-year, $135 million extension. They paid Chris Middleton and Giannis already. So if they want to improve the roster, I don't think if they want to improve the team, I don't think they can really do much with the roster. So in that situation, I think sometimes coaches get scapegoated and they think, okay, well, all we can do is change coaches. That's really the only way we can improve, because they're kind of locked into this roster. They went all in on this roster. So
well, one thing you can't forget though is that that trade that was supposed to go through with Bogdanovic.
Yep.
Yeah, Bogdanovic. That was
Bogdanovic. Huge. If that would have gone through, that would have been another outside threat that they would have had to be able to incorporate into their offense to be able to throw it out to him when Giannis does his thing in the middle. That's a huge part, because right now it's really just Middleton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
but also
as the main, you know, knockdown, everything like that. To have Bogdanovic on the other side, and you could have him the way he's playing right now. I mean, that changes a whole lot.
Yeah, and that was also, that was reportedly on the front office and people that kind of leaked some stuff. So
what happened with that? What was that? The front office, what did they do with the paperwork? I don't think
it leaked, like it was put out there publicly before anything was kind of done. So they basically were going to get in trouble for tampering. Yeah, it's one of those things where like I think the NBA looks the other way most of the time if it's not out there publicly. But when you put something out there publicly and you basically force their hand, then they're always going to punish you. We've seen that over and over again. So yeah, that's what I keep thinking about that too. Like, what would this team look like with him? That would be crazy.
It would look a lot different. Different.
I just want to see. I want to see Giannis like. He has no bag as far as moves go, okay? He's been doing these fadeaway Dirk Nowitzki one-leg jumpers. He's shot more three-pointers on his team than anybody on the Bucks, and that shouldn't be happening. I just want to see him like instead of working on this Dirk fadeaway stuff. Like, can we work on your free throws for a summer? You're getting to the line enough. Can we get you to 80%? The numbers would be ridiculous. So, anyways, maybe it's my frustration that I expect so much more out of Giannis. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not good fun.
But when people say that, though, I mean, I'll give you that on the free throws. They're playing so far off of him. Sometimes he has to knock down that shot. He has to at least take it. At least make them play honest. Now,
that's the Ben Simmons argument.
Right. If they push up on him, he's going to go by them. They're creating the whole wall like a zone to try to. I mean, but he does what he does. Like when people say he doesn't have any bag, right? His bag is to use his length and athleticism and that Euro step and get to the lane, and then that's his bag. And people can't stop it unless they do a whole lot of different tricks and schemes and everything like that. But if he's playing a player and they have to guard him and he goes to that, they're not going to stop it.
I do think, though, like he was shooting, I want to say it was 80-something% at the rim in the paint during the regular season. It's another ridiculous number in the postseason. So there are times we were thinking, why is he settling when he can do whatever he wants when he just gets downhill and gets to the paint, gets to the basket.
Did that the last game he started doing that. I mean, I'd like to see the shot chart of how many of his points was in the paint, but it was probably like all lit up because he went to the paint. That's his bread and butter.
That's what he has to do.
If he stays aggressive, then it's hard to stop. But like you said, if he starts taking those fadeaways and those threes, pulling up in transition, then he plays right into the hands of the Nets. You know, that's exactly what they want. But if he stays aggressive and does what he needs to do to get to the cup, even if he gets to the line and misses those shots, you know, that creates so much space so that he can pass. Willing to pass, and other guys can make shots. But if he doesn't, then they go in trouble.
Also, like I want to see Giannis guard KD. Like, why is Giannis guarding Shamit? Right? Like, can you? It's Game 7. I think Giannis needs to be on KD. It's your only chance to give him at least some kind of issues.
I'm be honest with you. It's crazy because even the game where KD had 49 points. PJ Tucker really played good defense. It's crazy to say that, but he really was. I mean, KD was just knocking down shots, but there was no other adjustment that PJ Tucker could have done except for just be taller, you know. But that's it. He played him right. He bodied him. He moved his feet. He challenged him. Hand up, everything. He was right there. KD just,
they say he's a great help defender, but when that dude KD is hitting shots, man, he ain't stopping that. It's a wrap.
Yeah, what can you do? Really,
you can't do anything. And PJ Tucker played him borderline aggressive, aggressive to a point that where I'm sitting and watching the team, I'm screaming at the TV, yo, that's a foul. But nah, man. There's a crazy story that when I was playing with him in Seattle, I looked at him and I was like, hey, man, you can't be you almost as tall as me, man, or you taller than me, so you got to hit the weights. So we were on the plane going to Golden State, and we playing. Baron Davis was still on the team, and I told him that story. I told him that, and he looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, you probably right." And that night he dropped 47 on Baron Davis. I was like, "Damn, I should have slapped myself. I should have never told that guy that stupid story." I was like, "Shit." I felt so stupid.
Listen, I was with Katie in Oklahoma City, right? And we're lifting, and he's doing a little bit just to kind of appease the trainer. And what he has as far as weights, I'm like, is that what you lifting? You know, that's what I'm thinking. I didn't say that, but I'm looking. It's like I'm like, bro, that's pretty. extra light. But he's the way he moves, the way he's. I don't know. I don't want to say he don't need weight. Obviously, whatever he's doing is working.
Especially coming off an Achilles injury like that.
Yeah,
that's amazing. To have a 7 feet guy move like that after 2 years.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
And he looks froggy too, like just springy, froggy all over the place. It's amazing.
It's remarkable. Real quick, I do want to. We have one more guest here that is ready to jump in, so we're going to welcome in Jared Rudolph, who is a former sports writer, now works at You First. What's up, Jared? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Can you see me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Appreciate
sir. What's
you
going
joining.
on?
We're gonna have a bunch. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the game. We're talking about KD a second ago. I have a few more questions about KD real quick. Throughout the night, we're going to have different people jumping on. We're going to hang out throughout the entire game. Jamal Crawford, Trevor Booker, David Vanterpool, Tyron Nesby. We're going to have a number of people jump on. So definitely stick around, hang out with us. Jared, what are you seeing so far? I know you've been watching the game. What are your thoughts?
Well, you said Jamal's coming on?
Yeah, at some point, he should be jumping on, probably in the second half.
Told him everything he knows. Told him everything he knows.
That's what's up.
Yeah, told him everything he knows. So proud of him taking all that stuff I put into his game and going out there and just becoming legendary.
That was nice of you to give him that instead of going to the NBA yourself. Nice of you to pass that to Jamal. Very unselfish.
You got to send the elevator back down, and and that's what we did. No, I'm sorry. What was the question?
What are you seeing? I mean, I know we've been talking a bunch, but what are you seeing in the game so far? I know I saw James Harden has scored all of his points from the free throw line. He's basically decided if I can't make any shots, I'm just going to go to the free throw line nonstop, which is typical James Harden. But what are you seeing, Jared?
You got to be careful with that. You don't want to go back to just straight isolation ball. He's been out for a while. You got to keep the ball moving because you're going to need Jeff Green and Joe Harris to hit open shots, but you got to be able to create the open shots for him. So I don't think James can get his shot for the most part anytime he wants. Same thing with KD. I think you in a game 7 to make sure that everybody is involved, everybody's incorporated, everybody stay warm. Get those guys going first. Pick and choose your spots. But like 7 points off 7 free throws, and you don't want to get back to where everyone is kind of watching and waiting for him to move before they can get active. So I mean, other than that, though, some bad calls. I didn't like the calls on PJ. I think PJ's doing a good job defensively. Hopefully the refs, let these guys figure it out.
Does he have two? Does he have two right now?
He has 2. He, on the KD foul, which I didn't find. I know he went to the bench. He said no, he wasn't happy about it.
Right.
I disagree. I heard what you guys saying about Bud and I wouldn't put Giannis on KD now. I think PJ has done a good job and can do a good job. Fourth quarter, things get tight. KD gets hot. Then maybe you throw something different at him for size purposes, but just body chemistry and body movement, I don't think Giannis can do anything with him. So PJ is shorter, stronger, can get up in him. KD is a guy. He's a skills guy, and you can put your hands on him a little bit because he's not going to play around with the dribble. And think for that purpose, PJ can push him to help a little bit better than Giannis may be able to, because Giannis is going to try to match length on length, and he's not quick enough to beat him to spots. So you got to be really, really, really careful with that. But these guys, both teams, role players have to be involved so that Giannis doesn't have to start chucking threes. I like to see him on the box a little bit more. Getting the ball movement. Holiday, he's got to come to life. Everybody, role players have to do their jobs, and then
Joe Harris,
stars come in and bring them. Joe's got to hit shots, man.
Yeah.
Hey, fun fact: Ben Simmons and Joe Harris are shooting the same percentage in the second round of the playoffs.
That's crazy. Joe's too good a shooter. Like he's too good a shooter. Like regular season, every time he touches the ball, you think it's going in.
When he has to create his own shot, though, it's a whole different story. Joe Harris is money in the bank. When you got to create your own shot, it's a little difficult for Joe.
And this is you're right. And this is to my point. This is why I don't want to see James doing too much one-on-one. I want to get the ball moving so that you create easier shots for Joe. Jeff, when these guys come in, let role players get in a position where they're stepping into shots. Mm-hmm. Joe's important. You're going to need him tonight. If you win, you're definitely going to need him in the next round. So it's important to get him back going. Shoot, but he can only shoot his way out of a slump if he's going to get some open and clean looks, and you got to create those for him in rhythm, and that's not going to happen if he's not sitting around watching guys pound the ball. That's not the way they typically play, and hopefully that's not the way they're going to get back to playing. But we'll see.
I want to ask Francisco a question real quick. What type of offense do you think that would be most beneficial for Milwaukee to play? You know, you talked about Giannis bringing the ball up and how that kind of puts them at a deficiency a little bit sometimes. What type of offense would you rather see them run?
A little bit more up tempo instead of Giannis bringing the ball up the court. Have Drew Holiday run the show a little bit more. Have Giannis come and set the pick. Have Brook Lopez more spaced out in the corner or in the dunker spot. Kind of that old game, still a little bit, but where Giannis is really rolling down the hill, you know, and getting that easy layups. And then all of a sudden, you know, when you get that running flow going and Giannis can get up and down the court, you know, he can still bring the ball up the court, but basically have Drew Holiday run the pick and roll with Giannis.
You run side pick and roll or high pick and roll?
High pick and roll, side pick and roll, either one. Because when you space it all the way out, and then Giannis, and you don't have guys on the same side of the court, on the strong side or on the weak side, Giannis has more space to do his thing, and with his length, you know, it's hard to stop when he gets to the cup.
And that's where I think with that type of offense, if that Bogdanovic trade would have went through, that's where he would have really been effective. Because I would have put him right in the corner, did that high pick and roll, you know, had him roll down, had him push the ball and then kick it out to either Middleton or Bogdanovic on the other side. Then they have two options to knock it down. Right now, it's really just Middleton. He's the option for outside shot.
And the rest of the team.
Wouldn't it be easier schematically? Because you see Giannis, a lot of times guys are backing off him when he gets it at the top of the key. They're daring him to shoot. Right, but if he's coming in from the side and you're going to back off him, then he can put a shoulder into you, and then somebody can rotate so he can create open shot for Middleton or anybody else getting the ball movement. I like Giannis attacking from the wings as opposed to attacking the front. I don't think putting him in – I think putting him in a side screen and roll or creating opportunities where he's attacking from the wings and not up front could potentially now put him in position to create some ball movement and open shots for guys on the wings. I don't like him in a top screen and roll, like a high screen and roll. I just don't think it does anything because, you know, you drop the ball off to him. If he's not rolling to the basket, then you take your chances stepping back and letting him shoot himself out of the game. Because he's not attacking guys from the top of the key the way he should. And even when he does, he'll attack, like he'll go, and if he doesn't see something, he'll pull it back out. And then he's just not fluid. It's like it's different. As you guys know, it's different playing in a half court than playing in a full court set. All that Euro step and all that's cool, you know, if you got the ball on the break. But when you're trying to attack in that manner, again, with the way his body works and the way his game is, when the game is slowed down from the top of the key, it's not going to work the same. It's easier for me to set and take my chances. I like him coming and attacking from the wings more so than the top of the key.
Real quick, I don't want to interrupt here, but end of the first quarter, I do want to give a stat update. Kevin Durant has 10 points on 4 of 7 shooting, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. James Harden, 7 points, all from the free throw line, 1 steal. Joe Harris, 1 of 2. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go to the Bucks. Giannis has 10 points, 2 rebounds. He has 4 of 5 from the field. Chris Middleton is 2 of 7, 5 points, 5 rebounds. Those are basically it. Drew Holiday, the big one, 2 of 8 from the field, only 4 points. So Holiday's not knocking shots down. And one criticism I'm seeing right now on Twitter that I want to throw at you guys is they continue to put Drew on KD. And actually, people are mentioning it right now in our chat, asking why Holiday's still on KD. It hasn't worked much throughout the series. Chris Middleton's been better on him. Others have been better on KD. What do you guys think that's all about? Why do they keep putting Drew on KD?
I wouldn't put Drew on KD at all. I think that's a mismatch. You see KD just taking it right to the post and turning around and shooting him over him. I wouldn't do that at all myself. But
I think that they're just doing that for the first quarter. They probably switch it back up in the second or fourth quarter. You know, Drew Holiday is a very good defender, and I wouldn't do that neither throughout the whole game, basically, because this is the most important game of your life, basically.
Yeah, I don't understand the move. I mean, they brought Giannis's brother. Sorry, but they brought him in to chase James Harden around for a spell. Yeah. You know, that's a strong kid. If you want to, you know, again, to try to simulate what PJ's doing with the strength and moving him, why not throw a similar body frame at KD? I will never understand outside of like why would you put a guard on KD, who's smart. KD does not waste movements, right? So if he has a small on him, he's not dancing. He's turning, facing, ball fake. So he's not going to waste any movements on Drew. If he gets it, mouse in the house.
That's what he just did just now.
So it isn't for me, unless you're trying to protect somebody, you're trying to hide somebody, you're trying to save somebody, doesn't to me compute. And not when you have other options. You can throw other people around to chase him.
I agree.
So I have a question. We talked a little about you guys playing with KD in the past. What are your thoughts on just how far he's come? Obviously, he's been a great scorer throughout his entire career, but he's evolved his game as well. What are your thoughts on just what we see from KD now versus when you guys were playing with him?
I mean, I can't say nothing else, negative about him. I think he's been fantastic, honestly. He works hard on his game. He was a young player when I was with him in Oklahoma City, and I just saw how hard he worked. And they really had such a special team. It was James Harden's rookie year, Russell Westbrook's second year. They had young Serge Ibaka, them cats.
Great Nick Collison.
The great Nick Collison. They were just talented, just all around. But it was interesting watching how talented they were, and how hard they all worked. So it was just a good culture that they had in Oklahoma City. But as far as KD and the way his growth, and I know people give him still a lot of flack for going to Golden State and that he can't win without a super team and all the criticism, all the stuff like that. I mean, he's killing. Is he the most unguardable player in the league? Would you say anybody else is more unguardable than him in the league?
Steph.
I mean, I would say I think it's KD. I think you can make the argument that KD is the best scorer of all time. I think you can make that argument.
So what? No. Listen,
when all is said and done, I think you can make the argument that he's the best scorer of all time.
So who do you put against him though? That's why I said the most unguardable.
Look, so if we're talking about pound for pound, you can't. It's just like you can't make up for 7 feet and all of that. We get that, right? Okay. But we talk about ways to score and different things. The fact that Steph plays and is as dangerous off the ball as he is on the ball, and he is as comfortable off the ball as he is on the ball, makes him incredibly more dangerous. Now, that's not to say that KD's not a bad boy, because he is. No wasted movements. He doesn't try to be anyone but himself. That's his game. He knows what works for him, and he's perfected what's worked for him. He's not trying to be Dirk. He's not trying to be Dream. He's not trying to be LeBron. He's not trying to be Mike. He's Kevin Durant. He's a bad dude, but in terms of the versatility of the game, he does still need the ball. And while he plays off of it, not nearly as much as Steph, because Steph playing off the ball, coming off screens, open guys up. And, I mean, there's not much you can do with that shot. And then, we've never seen anything like Steph in terms of doing what he does from long range off the bounce. Now it's more prevalent now with guys like Dame and, and even to Bradley Beal, but Steph started that. He changed it, and you can't take that away from him. Now he's not 7 feet like Kevin Durant, but Kevin can't handle that thing and pull up the way Steph can. No one in the history of basketball has been able to do it like Steph can. So 1A, 1B, whatever the case may be, for my money, Steph Curry is pound for pound the best player in the world.
But I will say this. KD could dominate like he's doing right now in any era. And I've talked to players from different eras. I've talked to Meta World Peace about it, James Worthy, Michael Cooper. They were talking about how they would fare against today's NBA players. And Michael Cooper said, I could guard anyone in today's NBA except KD. He's like, yeah, I think about it all the time what I would do against him. And he's like, you have to just hope he's off that day. There's nothing I could do to stop that guy.
With all due respect to Mike, he couldn't guard everybody in the league back when
but you get what I'm saying. I'm talking to many people about this.
Great players can play, right? So if you put Dr. J in today's era, he's going to get buckets. Just it might look different. If you put KD in Dr. J's era, he's going to get a lot of buckets. It might look different, but if great players can play, so it's hard trading errors and all that other stuff. If you can hoop, you can hoop. Kevin Durant's one of the greatest players we've ever seen. Greatest offensive player of all time in the league, with no interior presence, with no hand checking on the perimeter, where you're not really, as a perimeter defender, given an opportunity to really, really compete. We just talked about the fouls that were called on PJ. That matters. That factors in when we're talking about comparing errors. And it's not Kevin Durant's fault that there's not a hand check. It's not Steph's fault that there's not a hand check. They play in the league that is put here for them, and they do their job. But if you talk about now putting him in the 90s, where a guy like Dennis Rodman can switch all positions and get up in him and put his hand on his hip, Is he still great? Does he still get his numbers? Yeah. Is it more difficult? Absolutely. Because after you beat that man, you have centers and power forwards, guys that play the position in there waiting for you. There's no interior presence in today's basketball. In today's basketball game. So when guys get to the basket, they're not going up against Dwight Howard from 2009 that's blocking 9 shots in playoff games. Like that.
But why are those guys out of league right now? Why are those guys not in bigger roles? People like KD, I would say.
Basketball people who knew better or should have known better started listening too much to analytics people. And it changed the way that basketball players are developing, the way the game's being played. So now a guy that's Dwight Howard's size, instead of working on a post game, he's working on corner threes. And
I agree with that aspect. Yeah, so I agree.
Basketball used to be this beautiful blend and clash of different ideologies and philosophies, right? The run and gun Golden State Warriors against the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers, and it all worked. Different styles, and whoever was able to implement their style best won the game, won the series. Now you have a cookie cutter copycat league where everyone is basing things on number and there's no human feel. So it's changing the way that players are developing because it changes the way you have to get into the league. It's too much analytics, not enough basketball. It's supposed to be a marriage where everything makes sense, and it doesn't make sense anymore. Again, like if a Dwight Howard, if a Brook Lopez, if any center, can block shots at the rim, why wouldn't you have them blocking shots at the rim?
Oh, I agree.
Right? So you look at like guards getting rebounds, and it's not to knock like somebody like Russ, but it's different in 2021 than it was in 2009 because there's so many threes being taken that you miss long, and that leads to guards getting more rebounds. Guys don't go to the basket anymore, and I don't even understand that because it's easier to get to the basket because there's so much space on the floor, and you don't have shot blockers that you have to deal with. That a guy like Steph, if he was to take four less threes a game and attack the basket, he'd be scoring close to 40 a night. Who's going to stop him when he gets down there?
I agree with you 100%. And I've said it before, multiple times, that one of the things that the Lakers had going for them last year was a combination of Dwight and JaVale McGee and how much that contributed to their team. And they undervalued it to where they wanted to go get. This is not again a knock against Marc Gasol, but he's a different type of player. And what they valued from him was him passing from the perimeter. That's all they kept saying. We have a great passer from the perimeter. I was like, passer from the perimeter? I'm like, what about Dwight blocking the shots at the rim? Them coming down and be able to lob the easy lob up to JaVale.
Etan, take it a step further. Etan, Dwight shut down this year's MVP last year in the playoffs. Shut him down. Took him out.
Yeah, Etan's been saying it.
That was my point. I wrote a whole article about it.
He's gone. He's out. That was the 3-time, should be 4-time defensive player of the year. Just playing a role. I'm not going to get the ball. My job is to shut this guy down. Shut him down. Took him out. And this kid won the MVP this year. So you're going to tell me like there's no value in big men?
To be clear, I'm not saying that. Just to be clear.
I know you're not saying, but basketball people need to start listening. Like, it's the NBA, the National Basketball Association. The analytics can be a part of your planning, but there has to be more basketball because let me tell you something. Everybody loses when teams start scoring 200 points in a game.
Here's one thing I'll say, though. I do think, and I'm not even a big analytics guy. We talk about this with our staff. There's some people on our staff that are big analytics people, and I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's a resource, the tool in the toolbox, kind of like you're saying. It should be something that you use to kind of confirm the eye test. And I've talked to executives about this, and they basically said when they look at the analytics, it's a tool. It's not something that is the end all be all. It's something that you can use to help you when you're trying to make decisions, or I think it's a tool. But I do think that it gets a bad reputation sometimes. People blast it. Like I've seen tons of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, they said Chris Paul shouldn't shoot mid-range jump shots." That's analytics. He's proving analytics wrong, but that's not true. And the analytics show that that's an amazing shot because Chris Paul is amazing at that shot. Like it blows my mind that some of the stuff that analytics gets blamed for, but it's not analytics. The analytics say every time that Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, these guys should shoot jumpers. Now there's certain organizations or coaches that say, "I only want my guys shooting threes and shooting at the rim," that they ban mid-range jumpers and things like that. And that's a problem. But the analytics show that's an amazing shot. So every time people want to bash analytics entirely and say it's not valuable at all. That was a great block, by the way. I'm not sure if you guys are on the same feed as me.
But don't you think that sometimes people pay a little bit too much attention to analytics
100%.
for things that aren't necessarily correlated to to production in basketball. Like, for instance, the plus minus. I think people pay way too much attention to that because sometimes in the flow of the game, things just happen. So why the person is in the game, there might be other factors that contribute to why the analytics will say that he's minus this in his time during the game. I just think that sometimes it's too much credence given to it.
I agree with that. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
It was validated with no proof. This is not baseball. There's a human factor in basketball that maybe more so than anybody, because a single player can change the game. A single player can take over the game, but it doesn't have to be the same way. I mean, anyone that's watched basketball has watched David Robinson and Shaq and Mike and Magic and Isaiah and LeBron and Tracy McGrady and Kobe, God rest his soul, and so many different great players take over games and instead of will on games in so many different ways. There isn't one way to be a great basketball team or a great basketball player. And that used to be the beautiful thing about the league. But you look at it now, man, and you got these teams coming out, everybody runs to the short corner. It's like everybody's running some version, some altered version of 7 seconds or less, and then it don't work. And then you're firing coaches, but you don't want guys that build culture anymore. And it's just like, what are we doing? Who are we trying to appease here? Are we trying to appease casual fans that watch reality shows? Or are we still in the business of basketball here and trying to build something where everybody gets a little bit of what they like?
But Francisco, I want to ask you this, though.
Yeah.
And tell me if you agree with this, that the league is a copycat league. So they go with the trend. So when a team wins, then everybody starts doing the format that team that won does. For instance, Golden State Warriors, they won for a while, and you saw everybody trying to play that way. When the Spurs were doing the high-low with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, everybody tried to start doing that. When New Jersey was having all the success with the Princeton office and having guys doing the big men doing the dribble handoff from the top of the key down to everybody's trying to start mimicking that. Do you think that that's a little bit more of what is going on, that everybody's just trying to mimic a trend like they always have?
I mean, they have to make adjustments. I see it as adjustments that you have to make to win games, especially if you want to go and copycat, like you said, the trend. Then you have to make adjustments, and one of these adjustments is copying, because like you said, shooting all these threes. Popovich was one of the coaches that hates shooting so many threes because it takes away from the beauty of the game. The game is played inside out, or whatever you want to call it. But I think you're definitely right, and it's becoming copycat stuff, and guys that are not very good shooters are still shooting the ball in transition, 3-on-1, 3-on-2. And I guess, I don't know, it's tough to see, but I think you're right. I see it as making an adjustment, basically.
Watch, I'm telling you. Remember,
quick shout out to Tony Carpio, who just gave me a shout out. So I got to give him a quick shout out right quick.
Absolutely.
You guys remember I said this. Everybody loses that first game, and it's coming. That first game when a team scores 200 points in the game, everybody loses. It's not good for anybody.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah. But
you think that's coming?
It speaks to
I think it's coming.
Philosophy. It changed. It speaks to pushing out defense. It's coming. I don't know, maybe a full powered Nets next year, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen slowly but surely. You're gonna see a team get up there and score 200 points, and it's bad for everybody.
Here's one thing I'll say.
But that's because players are evolving and developing more skills, basically.
Agreed.
So if a team scores 200 points, that's awesome.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I think it's more a reflection that I think it was more of a reflection that teams are not playing defense.
Yeah,
no, but
and what you're saying is you don't have to. Listen, Francisco, it's not about evolution, but it's like, so the league and the philosophies, they're evolving, but they're not evolving evenly, so it's not fair. Defensive players, specifically on the wings, they have not been allowed to evolve their game to match these different things that these guys are doing, step back, side steps. You got to bring back the hand check. You have to give the perimeter defender equal opportunity to be able to do their job. Now, all you really can do is stand there like this. You can't do anything. You can't even get physical in the playoffs. You can't get up in the game anymore.
But Jared, the thing that they've I guess the analytics have always said is that the fans like more scoring and less defense. They've been saying that for years, decades. But I always ask, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Back in the the 90s when they was having those 80 something to 80 something games with, I mean, was the viewership any lower?
No.
Was the fact that's what I want to see, and nobody ever answers that question. I was like, what was different in the viewership in those? Because I thought those were great. Those were when I loved the Knicks, when they were like all just beating each other up and everything, like scores in the 80s, playing against Miami. Detroit before. I thought those were great, but I mean, the analytics say fans want more scoring.
Etan, the analytics say the fans love the Kardashians, and look, I'm guilty of watching plays on love myself. Doesn't mean that it's the best piece of television out there. It's not going to really stimulate your mind the way it should, and all because one thing works doesn't mean that multiple things don't work. So that's not to say that analytics in a high scoring style of basketball doesn't work. For some teams, the old school Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors, and any team that Don Nelson has ever coached scored a lot of points. They didn't win anything. They scored a lot of points. There's a place in it for everyone, but you have to, again, it's professional basketball, and this should be the hardest, most competitive league that we've seen. But you got guys getting in now that couldn't play dead in a horror movie because of the analytics are saying, okay, well, you 6'10", you can stretch the floor, you fit. So now 6'10" guys are just sitting there shooting and not developing their game. So when the game changes again, you're going to have a lot of guys, because it's going to change again, right? And now you're going to have a lot of other guys getting left behind because they're not developing skills.
Real quick,
supposed to be about skills development, and it's no longer about that.
One thing I think this is something I've noticed. I'm curious if you guys have seen this too. I think as younger owners have gotten into the NBA, and a lot of owners that made a ton of money off of analytics and that world, they try to apply the same things when they're running an NBA team, and they look for those coaches, and they look for that GM that's going to be very numbers oriented, and sometimes that's the language that they speak. That's how they kind of see the game. So whenever they take over an organization and pay billions of dollars to run their team, they're going to try to surround themselves with those people. So I think that's part of it too. You have this influx of young owners that feel like, hey, I've made all this money and succeeded by following the analytics. Why wouldn't I do the same thing with my NBA team? And then they're picking coaches and GMs and people like that to do the same thing. And I agree with you. I think what bothers me about the analytics debate is it's so black and white. It's like analytics are either the worst thing ever and they're ruining the NBA, or they need to be what every team is using exclusively. It feels like there's really not a lot of middle ground there. And a lot of GMs that are actually good at their job and a lot of coaches, their whole argument is basically, it's a tool in the toolbox. Like I said, it can help you, but you don't need to completely rely on it. I don't think it has to be one way or the other, where it's no analytics, they're horrible and they're killing the game, or they're the best thing ever. I think there's kind of a middle ground that we're missing here.
That's fair.
Yeah, analytics told the Hornets that Batum is worthless to them. And then when you come to the Clippers, he's one of the most valuable players on our team for a certain reason.
That was the contract, though.
Fun fact, Blake Griffin's playing his ass off right now.
He really is.
People act like Blake Griffin isn't Blake Griffin. That's crazy to me. Like, it's Blake Griffin.
It's
the because contract. Of the Blake Griffin that we saw in Detroit. You understand why, though? Blake Griffin looked like it was the end of the road while he was in Detroit.
No, he looked like he was uninspired on a team that wasn't doing anything. It's like, I want to get out, and that's not great. But from a basketball standpoint, if you put him in a situation where he's motivated, he's Blake Griffin. We know two things about Blake Griffin. Great personality, funny guy. If he chooses to take that and take it to Hollywood or TV or whatever, he's going to do well. And two, he can play ball. He can hoop. He's always been able to hoop. And that, you don't lose your skills. And he's healthy. So it's about motivation, about putting guys in the right situation. And letting them be able to go out and fight for something. He's fighting for something now, and it's not
nothing against Blake Griffin, but I'm just saying, if you're watching him during Detroit and you're watching those games, you're like, okay, well, I guess this might be the end of the road for Blake Griffin.
Get Blake out there. He finessed. Put Blake on a decent team, and Blake Griffin's going to be Blake Griffin.
He finessed Detroit. Bottom line. Third thing, really quick. To Francisco, our boy Giannis just airballed a free throw too. Can we just spend an hour a day shooting free throws, Giannis? Please.
He spends an hour before the free throw.
I think stole him out. You make some, you miss some. Stole him out. He's still two-time MVP. He's not doing that because he's a scrub. He'll figure it out.
But he does. But I hear you. But he does have to work on his free. It can't be where late in the game. I mean, it can't be late in the game. They're trying to foul him on purpose because they think that he's too talented of a player to allow that to be his Achilles heel.
Yeah,
Hold on a second though. We don't think he's working on his free throws. Like Francisco Etan, you know this. Like fans are always fans. The first thing they say is, "Oh, work on your free throws." I'm sure he
better
is.
at his free throws. Not that he's not working on it. I'm just saying he needs to get like Ben Simmons needs to get better on his free throws.
If Blake Griffin can shoot threes now, then Giannis can improve his free throw shots.
No question. Now again, you got to look at body mechanics and things. These things matter, man. Like
I think he needs to lay off the bicep exercises.
So he might have to find the right skills coach in the offseason to try to do something that changes mechanics up a little bit.
Now he's in his head though. So now it's not.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah. So I mean, he had to work on that offseason and get out of his head and just shoot it right. You could tell when he's doing it. He's thinking He's thinking literally for 12 seconds before he shoots the ball. You can't do that.
Hey, and Blake Griffin, since his rookie year, he worked on something. Every summer, he got something added to his bag. He was a horrible free throw shooter his rookie year. He came back shooting 70%. People called him out for his mid-range game. He got better at that. Now he's a knockdown three-pointer when he needs to do that. This dude got better every single year with his weaknesses. So all I'm saying is I want the two-time MVP to not be airballing free throws. That's all.
I agree with that.
Hey,
I agree with that.
The chat just said, why not just ask Ray Allen for a free throw training camp this offseason?
Listen to this.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, Omari.
I have a great story about this.
Hey, let's just call Ray. Let's just call Ray Allen, who's retired and enjoying golf.
No. Listen, Ray Allen
program. They can do that.
Ray Allen has. Hold on.
Get to Ray Allen.
Ray Allen has made his services available to many NBA players. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has done the same thing. Only one player has taken Kareem Abdul-Jabbar up on his offer for hook shots. Clips, you know who it is?
Olowokandi.
No, Zubats. Zubats.
Really?
The only player that responded and said, I will take it. He took lessons with Kareem, learned, the sky hook, all that. Ray Allen, same thing. I did a clubhouse with Ray Allen a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was. And I asked him, are players constantly reaching out to you and asking for help with their shooting and free throws, stuff like that? And he said, I am constantly telling guys, I will help you. Let's go in the gym. No one ever reaches out or responds, which blows my mind.
If you can get a Ray Allen to teach you how to shoot, then you got to,
He said he was surprised. He said he was surprised that no guys were taking him up on it. And it blows my mind.
In terms of Kareem and the skyhook, guys aren't on the post anymore. What the hell you need a skyhook for? Where you going to shoot for the three-point line?
Nobody wants to go into the gym and shoot free throws anymore. People want to go in the gym and shoot threes and work on their two-step backs. Yeah, that's all they want to do. That's what I used to work out on, and I never got to shoot
it. If one thing Zubac got better at this year was the turnaround. It's not a sky hook, but it is a jump hook. And I made the joke about Olowokandi because Olowokandi refused Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem always tells that story about Olowokandi.
Okay, thank you. I just
you're right.
I was making a joke.
Quick question before
Candyman said no.
No, I don't need Kareem. No, I'm the number one pick, bro. I'm Michael Olowokandi.
I mean, he didn't say all that.
He's bugging. He's bugging. He needed Kareem. He needed Wilt. He needed a little bit of Olden Polynice. He needed a little bit of everybody sprinkled in that thing.
Real quick, Linda was asking. She's a big Raptors fan of Coach Nurse. She was wondering about how he can help this, Team Canada squad. I'm curious too, like how much she asked about his skill development and the job that he does. How much can guys really develop in that time when you're playing with Team USA for such or Team Canada for such a short period of time? And what do you guys think of Coach Nurse? As a coach, and shout out to Linda because she's been in the chat a bunch, and we appreciate you watching.
What up, Linda?
Look at Fred VanVleet. Look at Pascal Siakam. Obviously he has an understanding of how to develop guys and bring guys along. It really depends on the setup of the program, how much time he has. The G League and working through that is different. You have an extended period of time, but Nick Nurse can coach. And again, when you speak to the evidence, look at Fred, look at Pascal. Look at the fact that he's a world championship coach. Clearly he has the formula to make some things work. So they'll do what their squad allows them to do.
I mean, if you want to develop, I played 2 seasons with the Spurs, and the Spurs always had a typical system where you come in and you work out. Even Tim Duncan, and he was the biggest star on the team. So everybody had a time slot that you had to come in and work out. So it's basically up to the player if you want to improve yourself and have longevity in the league or not.
For sure. I'm curious. So obviously we'll talk more about this game here in a second. It's almost halftime, but I'm curious. Once Etan gets back, I want to ask him this too. But playing in a game 7, Francisco, can you kind of speak to that experience and what's probably going through these guys' heads right now?
I've never been in a game 7, so I couldn't really say.
That's impressive. You've won a championship and you've had these deep playoff runs and never a game 7.
I'm lying. We did with the Phoenix Suns. Yeah. Robert Ory took out Steve Nash. They got
the game.
Yes.
Man, Robert Ory was such a smart guy. So Popovich was so cool, man. He never changed anything throughout the whole season. He let us decide what we wanted to do. So we basically came out and said, "Hey, man, can we skip the shoot around in the morning?" He said, "All right, just come straight to the game. Save your energy, save your legs." And the game plan was still the same. Let Amaris get 50. The rest of the team gets nothing.
Yeah.
And his system, everybody knew the rotation, how you had to rotate behind when somebody played the pick and roll. So if I look at the defense right now, like Jared says, nobody's playing defense. Man, if I look at the Clippers, they don't know how to rotate out of a pick and roll. So that's why they're getting open shots, basically. So back when I was playing with the Spurs, everybody knew the rotation, the way they had to go.
Etan, we were talking about what it's like being in Game 7. What's the vibe leading up to that day? You've played in a Game 7, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way the crowd is just electrified and the whole stadium is rocking, it's like similar to how it is in college. Do you know what I mean? When you have like a big game against a big rival. That's the only thing I can compare it to. The whole atmosphere is completely different. So I can't imagine how this is right now in Brooklyn.
So right now, 53-43. I'm not sure if I'm on the same, if we're all, the same point in the game. Right now,
I'm a little behind you.
Okay, Brook Lopez has 12 points, 5 of 7 from the field. He's leading the Bucks. Giannis has 11 points, 4 of 8. He also has 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block. And then KD, 20 points, 8 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. Harden's got 12 points. 8 of them are from the line. He's 2 of 9 from the field. Brown has 10 points. He's been playing really well, 5 of 7 from the field. And then Drew Holiday, 2 of 11 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3.
Dang, Drew.
Hey, PJ is working so hard on KD. He's
there's nothing he can do.
I know. I'm just saying.
But that's what I'm saying. So Jared, going back to what I was saying about KD being the most unguardable, who in the league can guard him? Like, who would you put? Like, who's somebody you would say that you would put to guard and have his assignment say, okay, he would have KD's number?
Draymond.
I don't think anybody. I think
you think
Draymond is big enough. He's big enough and physical enough.
What about Kawhi, dude?
Nah, Kawhi. I think Kawhi's days of guarding premier guys, at least for the foreseeable future, I think that's over for a while. I think he's not going to do it until he feels 150% healthy, and he's so banged up that I don't think that he's going to get the assignment. Toronto Raptors Kawhi, yeah. This Kawhi, he's still, it seems like he's still recovering. He's not fully 100%. If all things are even, then yeah, you take your chances with Kawhi. But I don't think anybody can guard him. But here's the thing, I don't think anybody can guard any great perimeter player. I mean, who can guard Dame? So it's not like because there's no real defense, because there's no hand check.
Yeah,
KD is special, but on any given night, so many guys are special. And, you have this debate over who's the best in the world. So a lot of people think it's KD. I think it's Steph. Some people say LeBron. Other people say Dame. Nobody's wrong. Everybody's right, because everybody can make a legitimate case. There's a legitimate case to be made that Dame Lillard is the best player on the planet. There's a legitimate case to be made that Steph is the best player on the planet. There's a legitimate argument to be made that LeBron is still the best player on the planet, and KD, and Giannis, and Joel Embiid, and so many more. And it's like, what are we missing here? What the hell is going on? How can you have so many best players in the world, guys that can be the best on any given night? It's the lack of defense.
It also changes every week with talking heads. One day it's Luka, then it's Donovan Mitchell.
Luka. Legitimate argument that Luka is the best player on the planet.
Not yet for Luka, but I hear Luka's great, but I don't think he's there yet.
He'll be there, dude.
He'll be there soon, but not right now. Not right now.
Think about it for a second. There's a group of Dallas Maverick fans and people who follow the Mavericks and people that follow Luka, that will make a legitimate argument that will have you sitting back and saying, well, yeah, you got a point.
That's
yeah,
true.
he is. You know, like in the same thing for Trae Young. It's like it's somebody new every night. And it's not a knock on these guys. They can handle like you got to put people in a position where they're competitive so that people are shining for reasons other than offense. Like Rudy Gobert just won his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award. That's tremendous.
He was lunch meat.
Yeah, but we don't even talk about that. It's just like
Clips.
we don't even talk about that. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Rudy Gobert was Rudy nowhere. Don't even think I can say that on
at the end of the day. You go into Rudy's house and he has sharp suits. He's got a lot of money and he's got 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. Let me tell you something. He's probably gonna get 2 more. Right, and it's like it's not even celebrated. If you're that effective, if you're that good at your craft, you are incredibly valuable to your team. But we don't talk about that.
The 3-time Defensive Player of the Year shouldn't have been playing in the game last night. He shouldn't even been playing in the game last night in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, you always have a Rudy Gobert on the floor. It's up to you to figure out how to.
Got
it's
6
up to the
wide
team.
Open threes. Because
up to the
team. The rotation, but the rotation, what he's saying as far as the rotation and the flow of that, they weren't going inside and he was leaving the guy wide open, and they kept running the same play over and over again because they didn't make any adjustments.
Schematically, it is up to that team to figure out a way to have him be more effective. I know Rudy's not the greatest offensive player, but for me, and again, I'm not Drew
Francisco. Lou didn't get enough credit for that coaching job he did there because when you saw a deficiency and you keep exploiting it and they don't make adjustments, keep going to it over and over again until they make the adjustment.
You don't take a Rudy Gobert out the game. But what I don't understand,
the reason why, but them not taking him out the game was the reason why Terrence Mann kept being wide open. That's what I'm saying.
But Cliff is saying he should have been on the floor. I'm saying that you got to come up with a different.
You're saying about change it to have somebody else rotate.
You have to figure out a way. Yeah, you have to figure out a way to put him in a position to be successful. Listen, this hiding guys and disguising guys and making up for guys on defense, that's not new. That's basketball. What's been happening for years at one position or another. There's always been a mismatch.
Yeah.
Okay,
hold on, because this is germane to what we're talking about. Why is it in today's NBA that pisses me off that you take a big man and you say, all right, we're gonna put his big ass in the screen and roll. We're gonna get him on the perimeter. We're gonna make him dance. And the coach comes back, like the coach, he'll take his big man out instead of saying, all right, you know what? You got my big guy on the perimeter chasing you. Now I'm gonna put your little ass on the blocks and see if you can guard my big man.
But that's what Dallas did with big fella. What's the Boban? That's what they did with him.
It should be happening all the time. You should have guards in foul trouble because
they didn't go to Boban enough. I didn't think that Dallas went to Boban enough when the Clippers were going small.
You let me coach a team where a coach would dare put a guard on my center. He's getting the ball every time. We are punishing his little ass.
Reggie Jackson was guarding Rudy Gobert last night.
Get Rudy the ball, and I like Reggie. And you punish his ass.
I agree.
You give Jackson some action.
Okay, hold on. We'll get back to Clippers in a second here, but it is halftime. I do want to talk Bucks and Nets here. Some people are asking questions about it.
Game on, Alex?
Right. That's what we do in these chats. We end up just going all over the place and discussing different things. But we just talked about how, role players need to step up, and we saw it. Terrence Mann, Seth Curry, Tyrese Maxey, this weekend we've seen, or the last few days, we've seen a bunch of role players stepping up, and it's had a huge impact. Joe Harris continue 1 of 4 from the field, 4 points, 1 of 3 from 3. There's been a number of role players. I don't know if Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, they're not role players, I wouldn't say, not to be disrespectful, but they're both 2 of 11 from the field, 5 points for Chris, 4 points for Drew. What are you guys seeing in the first half, and who has to step up here?
I mean, they got to start. Shaq always talks about the others. The others have to step up. That's. I mean, I disagree with a lot of Shaq. A lot with that. He's 100% correct. I mean, when you have the others that step up, because the whole defense, everything is going to be keyed in on the main players, and sometimes the main players are going to have off nights. Sometimes it's not going to be working, and you have to have the others. I love the way that Terrence Mann stepped up. I mean, he stepped right into the moment. Everybody was like, okay, who's going to be that next person? Kawhi is out, all the different narratives, and he stepped right in. And you could tell from the beginning of the game that he was ready.
I know Alex doesn't want to talk about the Clippers, but I will say this, and we will talk about the Clippers, but to what you were saying, two things really quick. That was a Doc Rivers guy. Doc loved Terrence Mann, okay, loved him, fought for him, but Doc Rivers would not have played Terrence Mann, started Terrence Mann in this game.
He wouldn't have?
Not at all. There's no way. There is no way that Terrence Mann would have started that game. He would have rolled
I mean, Terrence Mann started because Kawhi got hurt. Of course, Doc is going to start him. In those circumstances. Circumstances different, man. We ain't gonna start killing Doc.
I think what he's saying is that Doc doesn't make those kind of mid-series adjustments that we've seen. He's not willing to take those risks. Is that what you're saying, Clips?
I bet you this, Clips. I bet you dinner that Doc coaches ass off tomorrow.
Yeah, he's gonna sure try. He's gonna sure.
He has no choice. No, look, I love Doc. Jared, I love Doc, right? But Doc made some bad choices in blowing some of those 20-point leads. No doubt. All right. So we got to be fair, though.
Listen, when you blow a 26-point lead, everybody's to blame. Everybody's
all right.
Like, so, but as you know, I bet you Doc coaches ass off tomorrow. I mean, we act like Doc didn't play a part in helping them recover from that collapse. Go to Atlanta, win a game on the road, and set up a game 7 at home. The job is done. They got the whole now they got a whole court. Now all they got to do is win. It's supposed to
the
win.
Hawks let him off the hook.
But most teams, you claps after that. You're supposed to clap. You're going back to their house. Everybody talking. You got everybody in Atlanta. You can't do this, and this person don't want to shoot free throws, and y'all can't do. Everyone's talking about what they can't do, and everybody's talking about how many leads Doc has blown. And all Doc and the Sixers did was go into Atlanta, win a must-win game, and bring it back to Philly for Game 7. And I bet you that Doc's going to coach a hell of a game tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
Well, hey, I give up trying to force you guys to talk Nets and Bucks. Let's just talk. Let's stay on the Sixers here. What are your guys? What's going on with Ben Simmons? I mean, it's been a talking point on Twitter. Everyone's talking about it. Fans are literally hanging missing posters all around the city. It's brutal. I mean, what's going on? Do you think it's the matchup? Do you think it's a mental thing? Like, what do you guys think it is? I know one thing. I'm really good friends with Dennis Chambers from CBS Sports. He's a big Sixers fan. He's basically said that Ben is too passive and tries to always make the right play to a fault. So he, rather than be aggressive and take over, he just constantly wants to make the right play and pass people, even when his team's telling him, no, we need you to shoot. No, we need you to drive and be more aggressive. What are your guys' thoughts on what this is and what's happening?
I think they're regretting not making that Harden trade. I'll say that.
Nah, see, I haven't given up on Ben Simmons like that. Honestly,
I'm not giving up. I'm just saying that a Harden is what they would need right now, and if they had the opportunity to make that happen. So I'm just saying, go continue, Etan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of the last game, the quick fouls kind of took him out, and then he was kind of in the matrix after that. Like he was trying to play. You try to not take your aggressiveness completely out of your play when you're having quick fouls, but then he was making kind of, I don't want to say silly fouls after that, but they weren't really that great. When you have the ref has made some questionable calls on you, and then you give him the ref the opportunity to make another call on you. You know what I mean? And it was like some of the ones I was like, that's not a good foul. But I think as far as him, he's trying too hard sometimes. And you can see it. Like let me say this.
I think we have to start. I think the kid is unselfish, and he'll figure it out. He's still young. There are a lot of expectations. People, calling him left-handed LeBron, Australian LeBron. Clearly, that's not the direction that we're going in. But he's shown that he's effective. But you have to give a guy like that a little credit for being selfless. Seth Curry has stepped forward and really become a force for them, from a scoring standpoint. And if Ben was caught up on getting his own numbers, then that wouldn't be happening because it's not set up for Seth to be the 30-point guy on the perimeter. If they, would go Ben and then Tobias, or maybe Tobias and Ben on, and then Seth would come in there. So he's seeing this guy cook. It's working. It's helping. So he's stepping back. Now that doesn't mean that he shouldn't assert himself more in different points of the game, and he has to figure that out. I think maybe he's in his head. But give him credit for being able to step back and let a guy that's cooking continue to cook and say, you know what? Don't force my offense. Seth has it going. Let's keep giving him the ball. He keeps hitting them. It's going to open things up. Now, everybody else got to step forward, right? So the argument can be made, well, if Seth is getting off, then it's throwing people out of rhythm because that's not the design. No, if he's doing his job, everyone else has to do their job. And, collectively, they're still a relatively young team. And, it's not a whole lot of deep playoff experience there. I mean, Dwight has the ring, and there's only but so much he can tell them, but he's not on the floor with them.
All right, here's a question.
He's not in the battle.
Here's a question. And this I brought this up on the show today. We talk a lot about.
Oh, wait, real quick. Hold on, Clips. We'll get back to this in a second. We actually have Tommy Beer joining in right now from Barclays Center. He's covering the game for basketballnews.com. He only has, I'm going to add him in here in a second. He only has 5 minutes with us. So we're going to talk a little bit about what he's seeing in the first half from the building, and then we'll get right back to that. So don't forget your thought, Clips. Keep it in mind. But I did want to add Tommy in here in a second. I think he's getting set up. Go ahead and actually finish your thought, and then we'll add Tommy in once the camera.
The question was this. We talk a lot about players that are defensive liabilities. What about Ben Simmons being an offensive liability? Do you guys think that he is an offensive liability?
Depends on who you ask. I mean, if you ask Seth Curry, he would say no, because Ben taking a step back and allowing him to step forward is getting so. What's the plus minus if Seth's not scoring? If Ben is scoring the ball and they're focusing on trying to get Ben operated, how many does Seth get? How many does Tobias get? So a liability in what sense? In the traditional sense that he's not gonna come down in the last 5 minutes of the game, take over like the way that we're accustomed to seeing. Okay, depends on who you ask. But for someone that's there that's facilitating, I don't know about.
I don't think it's about as far as taking over. It's meaning that if you have 5 guys on the floor, is it like you're playing 4-on-5 on the offensive end? That's an offensive.
So we know we can slash and we know we can pass. He seems to have been a little bit passive in doing that. So it's about making sure that you put him in positions to have some success.
Okay, we will get back to this, but we have Tommy Beer with us right now. He's covering this game from Barclays Center. He's covering the game for Basketball News. It's a bit loud, but we'll try to make this work. Tommy, what are you seeing out there?
Yes, it's loud, so I'm sorry if you can hear me, but okay, cool. It's been the KD show. I think it's just been phenomenal how well he's played in the first half this far. Obviously, James Harden having a positive impact as well. And Giannis seems a step slow. I don't know if they've talked about it on the broadcast, but seems a little bit exhausted, tired. So very interesting, fascinating to see what happens in the second half here.
We were just talking about how the role players aren't playing as well as we would have expected. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are struggling. Joe Harris continues to struggle.
I think Joe Harris and Drew Holiday struggling has been a real important aspect of this first half so far. I think either the Bucks and or Nets need one of those two guys. Could decide that this series, this game, because Drew Holiday's playing with no confidence. I expect him to step up and play well in the second half. Joe Harris missing shots that he normally makes. So we'll see if one of those two guys can step up and make a big impact in the second half here.
Well, Tommy, we appreciate you joining. I'll let you get back to work. I know you got a lot of stuff to do there, but everyone check out basketballnews.com for Tommy's coverage. He's been killing it. Thanks for joining, buddy.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right. Yeah, I wanted he was at the game, figured we'd get some input there from Tommy. That arena is very loud, so that makes things tough. Loud. But go back to your conversation, though.
I want to ask one question real quick before we get, back to the second half. So, Clips, you said it that Kawhi Leonard's probably going to, come back. He was walking without, any kind of restraints or anything like that. I saw the video of it as well. I want to know who first misreported and put it out there that he had a torn ACL.
Sham. No, first of all, they reworded everything. They said fear of an ACL injury. Like one of Sham's sources said fear of an ACL. And it's like, okay, well, everybody fears an ACL injury. I think that was clickbait. And then Woj said the same exact thing, when in actuality, no news has come out whatsoever from the Clipper camp on what is going on with the knee.
How weird is that?
It's not weird.
No. That remember what I always talk about, Alex, as far as when the media sometimes put stuff out there.
I'm talking about like an announcement from the Clippers.
No. The Clippers didn't say any of that. They just said out with a knee injury, right?
I'm saying it's weird we haven't heard anything from the Clippers like an official announcement. That's what I'm saying.
My issue was more that that's why I said who specifically, which one of the media members started saying ACL. And then they put that out there and they said suspected ACL. And according to sources, ACL. They didn't name the sources. They didn't say according to sources within the Clippers organization or the medical team. They just said according to sources. And I have a big problem with that, Alex. Like,
yeah,
I
but
do.
hold
Like
on. So now, I'm because I've been one to have put out news.
Okay.
According to sources. Sometimes your sources, are giving you pinpoint information. Other times your sources, have some misinformation. With respect to the two gentlemen that you guys mentioned, one of them a veteran, he's not going to put out false information, or he's not going to go through his vetting process of his sources and reporting irresponsibly. He doesn't need the attention he has.
And his outlet won't let him. To be
I gotta
clear.
totally 100% disagree with you.
So hold on.
But this is why though.
But let me. But again, he's not gonna. He doesn't need the clickbait. He's there. His reputation is solidified. People do go to him first. Right. And the other young man who came up in a sense under me at Real GM, he's done his job as well too. So sometimes the information that you're getting and you're disseminating, it's a little premature. It's a little mixy. It's a little messy, and sometimes it's wrong. And you take your chances and you roll the dice.
But it could have been 100% right. We don't know what the Clippers were thinking. They might have feared the worst.
But to jump to the clickbait thing, like these men are going to follow the journalistic code of ethics as best that they can, especially.
I don't think that they were.
But there's no gain in it for me, Tom. They don't gain.
But when you say the journalistic code of you know what I mean, the code, this was not done with this, because if it was,
no, that's not true. That's not true. So
no, you have to. You're not this. And this is my issue. This is my issue with the media all the time, right? Especially the sports media, because you have to be sure before you put something like that out there. This is not TMZ. You could just put any kind of. Let me finish. Where TMZ could put a rumor out there and start spreading it if they haven't done the due diligence to know and say, okay, before I start spreading this is going to be correct. But they put out notions. We can't. Basketball analysts and reporters cannot be TMZ.
Right,
and so somebody of that caliber put something out, and everybody that he, like you said, he doesn't need the clickbait. That makes it even more the onus on him to make sure that what he does put out, because he is in that position, is factual.
Yeah, but Etan, generally speaking, you're correct. Specifically, you're not. Right. So again, we have to talk about the outlet first. And even the great Woj has to make sure that with his editors and whoever he's answering to, that he's explaining to them that he's got them from multiple sources. So when he gets that call, or Shams gets that call, or me or Alex or anybody that's been in that position gets that first call, such and such is hurt, tore up his knee, we have to then follow up and call and speak with people and be able to confirm that through multiple sources before we even present it to editors to be pushed out there.
Yeah, now, but how can you say ACL before you even get the MRI? That's my
Clippers. You didn't say it was ACL. You said the Clippers feared it.
What you're not understanding is, for all you know, reporters have been told this by the team doctor. Well, listen, you can't say my name, but here's what the fear is. And they're saying sources have indicated, and it's not misdirection. It's not untrue. Now, look, there are some shit reporters out there that make stuff up and they throw stuff against the wall. We get it. But the public, the players, they typically weed those people out, and you see them where they're at. And you see, like, people trust Woj, Chris, Shams because of the quality of work that they're doing and the respect that they're presenting the story, right? Because a big part of it is you're telling my story, you're breaking my news in a manner in which I'm comfortable with. And because I'm comfortable with the manner in which you're going to put it out there and you're going to follow up on it, I'm going to come to you first.
And here's what I'll say too.
This is my point, though. This hurts their credibility if it.
No, it doesn't.
No, I totally disagree. Let me finish. I let you finish. Let me finish. So if it comes out and the Clippers say, if it does, and the Clippers doctor said, yeah, we never had anything issue with an ACL.
That's different.
Then that does hurt their credibility, because what they said, whatever their sources were incorrect, and they put it.
But we don't know.
Right, but each time it doesn't hurt their credibility.
Listen, I'm saying if. Now, if it comes out and it says and the Clippers medical team who have not said anything yet, right? So, but if they do say that yes, this is an ACL issue, and then that's a different story. If they say no, this was no ACL issue, and that was premature, which they pretty much should say if it isn't, and he's playing game 2. Then that should hurt their credibility in my opinion.
Before I respond, I want to say hello to
Hey,
what's up, Jared? Jared Jr.
So he's peeking in the door. Yeah, he's at the age now where you can't turn your back on him because he's going to do something he has no business doing.
Oh, I get it. My daughter came in 2 times. Y'all just didn't see her.
This is my little man. This is my little man. Say hello to everybody and then go and lay down like you're supposed to. All right.
Good night.
Okay. All right. Close the blinds. So now, listen. Again, generally speaking, everything you're saying is correct. Specific to this situation, it's incorrect because look, even if Woj, Shams, myself, Chris, any of the top tier reporters that you expect to break news, Sam Amick, and anybody I'm leaving out, no disrespect intended.
Right.
Any of those guys, if they put something out and it just so happens to be incorrect, it's not the end of the world. They got burned by a source.
Right.
They got burned by sources, and that happens. It's just that. But Etan, listen, you know how this works. You because you were in the locker room, and you know that there were reporters that you liked to deal with, and others you didn't like to deal with.
Not a matter of like, it's the reporters that were accurate and inaccurate.
Okay, accurate and inaccurate, but that information we're getting that from y'all. We're getting that from coaches.
It is your job to get correct information before you report it.
We can't control if the source lies to us and says something wrong.
The whole process is you and I talking about a trade. And you're like, yeah, I'm hearing that this person's gonna get traded. I'm like, okay, so yeah, you're right. It is now my responsibility to do my due diligence. But I can't bring it to my editors until I'm able to confirm where the initial information came from.
But what it seems to me happens too many times is that because you can't confirm it, right? They say anonymous. Because the person who usually when they can confirm it, they can come out and say, "Listen."
No, that's not true.
No. A lot of times it is. A lot of times it is.
The most whenever things are anonymous, that's when it's. And I know you disagree with this, Etan. I know it's like you're passionate about this, but there's so many times where coaches know they would lose their job, front office people know they lose their job, players can't say how they really feel. The anonymous stuff is sometimes when they're like, "Hey, I can't tell you this on the record, but you can run it because I feel this way and I want it out there." Like that's the stuff that sometimes is true.
Been untrue.
Here's what I'll say.
Let me respond to this.
Wait. That person.
Etan, I'm gonna answer your question.
All right, exactly. Let me just finish the statement though, and then so that person that you're saying, whatever position that they have, who says, "Listen, you ain't heard this from me, but such and such and such and such," and they're telling something. How many times has that what they have told you, whoever that person is, has turned out to be untrue?
But if it's 3 people saying the same thing, you almost have to run it.
It happens.
Three people that are all going on the same rumor. I mean, I just interviewed Pete Babcock, and he said how all people were talking about a rumor that was not factual. And I asked him specifically, did any of y'all ask any players this? And he said no. Did any of that come from any of the main sources, which was this person and this person? They said no, it didn't come from them. So
that's where the due diligence is important.
Incorrect rumor by the person who isn't even going to go on record of starting the rumor. That's the issue with me.
So Etan, your issue. No, again, generally speaking, you're correct. Specifically, you're incorrect because. All right, so I'm gonna set this up for you.
Okay.
Etan Thomas has issues with one of his teammates, and somebody's getting moved. Heads are gonna roll. I'm in the locker room. That said to me, I confirm it with some other people, right? I bring it to my editor, like, look, big shakeup going with the team, something going on with Thomas, the coach is involved, they're picking sides, it's a mess over there, and it may lead to some trades. In the time that I've received that information, and I'm bringing it to my editor, and I'm writing my piece, which I'm told, off the record, you can put it in there, but don't put it back to me. The situation is now resolved. It's no longer an issue. No trades are going to be made. So when my story goes out there, now the situation has changed. So now we're spinning. It's reporting versus PR, where the job is now, oh, there's no problems in here. We don't know where that report came from. Everything is fine. Look at the guys on the court. And specifically speaking, I can remember myself writing a piece about a player that took an interview or an ex-player that took an interview for a general manager's job that was being occupied by somebody who was a mentor to him. Called him, told him the information. I had it from 3 different people, asked him if he took the interview. He's like, nah. Okay, listen, I have to run this. It's my job. Do what you need to do. It's all good, bro. Write the piece. 5 seconds later, he tweets, this never happens. Then it don't work out for him in the end. He wants to have dinner. He wants to discuss, hey, did they tell you to do that? I feel like I got set up. But no, the sources weren't wrong. It was absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have a specific example of that.
It was supposed to get out there. So it works both ways because the information that we get in, my brother, and I'm not a reporter anymore. I'm on the PR side. So now I'll be cleaning it up and I'll be siding more so with what you're saying. However, the information flows from people within the organization and the unit, starting in the locker room, brother.
The situations are all fluid too. I've talked to a GM that says we are not trading this guy tomorrow. In fact,
GMs lie. That's different. They're lying to be able to manipulate the media. That is
okay, but if
they do that, right?
They absolutely do that.
Right. But I'm talking about specific, like, so the one of the situations that I'm specifically, and I'm coming out with the interview that I did with Kwame Brown coming up next week. I'm literally in the locker room next to them, and I'm seeing reports that I know are 100% inaccurate. And they're not naming the sources, but I know they're inaccurate because I'm there.
And we hate journalists like that too, to be clear.
Yeah,
I'm literally there, and what they're reporting is not what's happening.
They make our jobs harder.
We know it's shit reporters out there. I listen offline. I can tell you a few of them. It's a lot of shit reporters. It's a lot of shit reporters out there that throw shit up against the wall and see what sticks, so that people start following them, and all of a sudden, and then they get caught out there because now, when you're considering yourself to be a newsbreaker or an insider, you got to be a newsbreaker and an insider all the time.
All right.
It's the same thing as in non-sports journalism. You have to consider the source at the end of the day. When we're talking about some of the guys that have proven time and time again that they're credible, they get the benefit of the doubt, and people listen to them because all these situations that are being reported are absolutely fluid. There's conversations happening. This situation is a great example of that. He didn't say it's absolutely an ACL injury. He said the Clippers are fearing that. Now, for all we know, he could have talked to Kawhi, Ty Lue, the trainer, the doctor, the front office, and they're like, yeah, we're terrified it's an ACL. But then if it ends up not being that, technically his report was accurate because the Clippers were terrified it was an ACL injury, but then he looks wrong if it's not ACL. So should he be reporting on speculation like that in the Clippers fearing something? Does it put the wrong message out there? Is that I see what you're saying there, Etan?
I think it does. I see
what you're saying with that. I see what you're saying. But if he didn't do it, someone else would have, because if the organization's talking to a reporter like that and saying, here's what we're worried about, that's the issue.
Reporting on speculation is creating a narrative. Would you agree? Because it's speculation. It's speculation.
But
it's not factual. It's not a narrative or synonyms.
No, not a narrative, a story. The narrative would be that Kawhi is injury prone and going into all of this. The story is that the organization fears that the injury is more serious than what they initially.
If you say ACL associated with a player, they're done for the season.
Right.
So the narrative is that he's done for the season.
The story is that they fear that the injury is more serious than they thought, but no one has confirmed
anything.
Anything.
Say that. They didn't say that they feared that the injury is more serious. They said they feared that it was an ACL tear. That is completely different. They said specifically an ACL tear.
The fear.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to disagree with you on this one.
No, I'll say this. I hear you, Etan, and I think let's use a different example here. The Dallas Mavericks story. Did we all read
Etan's question because he asked me the question, and I haven't been able to say a thing yet. This is the thing. If it's an ACL injury, Kawhi wouldn't be walking around. He would be on crutches. He wouldn't be at the game. There's nothing like the fear. Sham, whatever you want to say, framed it right with the word fear. Right? We all fear it. If anything happens to a knee, everybody fears an ACL. Kawhi said after the game, "Oh, I feel fine. I'll be in Game 5. Yeah, no problem." Farbaugh, the writer for the Clippers, said the night before the game, "Oh, Kawhi's all systems go for Game 5. He's playing." And then we come out in the morning and it's oh shit, it's an ACL surgery. Like this is what's gonna happen. Like, nah, man. I'm with Etan on this, and I'm with you, Jared and Alex. I totally understand that, but it's not an ACL. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I do find it weird that nobody has said anything in the Clipper organization.
It is very weird.
It is, but what they're saying is not available for Game 1. Kawhi didn't go to Phoenix, so he's not going to be there for both games. He's not going to play in 1 or 2, and I think we're going to feel this out. Like if the Clippers get 2 in Phoenix, I think we push back on bringing Kawhi back for game 3 or game 4. I think that's the plan, is for him to play at home. If we go down 2-0, I think Kawhi plays game 3. That's just my personal opinion. I talked to a few beat writers for the Clippers who are involved in that situation, and they are very high, or they're planning on Kawhi playing in this series. And you heard that from me.
So real quick,
what I'll say to you is, with respect to the two gentlemen that were brought up, and Woj in terms of what he does, breaking news and everything else, is the best in the world, and Shams isn't too far behind. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with the idea that they would put out bullshit because they need to. I don't disagree that there are some reporters out there that put out bullshit because they need to. But Woj and Shams, they're not. Those guys are okay. They're doing fine. They're going to break a lot of stories. A lot of people are going to come to them. They don't need to do that. They're bigger than that. They're better than that.
Let's shift this.
They're not those
Let's shift this from Kawhi to now the Athletic article about the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not sure if you guys read the article, but it was very interesting. And basically, the article was by Sam Amick and Tim Cato, and it basically broke down dysfunction in the Mavs front office. All of the sources were anonymous. Now, they did get 1 or 2 quotes from Mark Cuban after it ran, and he kind of weighed in and said, this is total BS. He completely disputed it. And then within 72 hours, Donnie Nelson was fired. Rick Carlisle quit. Like, it was proven to be accurate. And my thing with that article, it kind of is an example of what Jared's talking about. I think what ended up happening with that article, and this is all speculation, but just from reading it and reading between the lines, I think they heard from someone, hey, this guy has a lot of increased power now. He has a bigger role, and it's rubbing some people the wrong way. So they started digging. They talked to Lucas Kemp. They talked to the coaches. They talked to the executives. They talked to the scouts. And then from that, they got all these different stories. On draft night, he didn't listen to the scouts, and he did his own thing. He was setting Rick Carlisle's rotation and starting lineup. Lucas frustrated. And here's 2 examples of stories of times that he was upset with him. Like, once you have all that and you've talked to people in the organization, you have 6, 7 different sources, then it's like, okay, we have to run this. There's clearly something going on here. This guy's made enemies. We have it from every facet of the organization. So that's an example of a story where it's not speculation. Granted, they're anonymous sources, but within 72 hours, they were proven correct whenever the entire organization blew up. So that's an example of like anonymous sources being used well, and people not being willing to talk on the record because they're worried there's going to be consequences, but they're willing to say everything off the record. That's what blew me away, just how, because there's dysfunction in a lot of organizations. We all know this. The fact that you had 7, 8 people talk to the Athletic and tell specific stories and examples of the dysfunction, that's what blew me away, that they were able to get that report. But that's an example of like anonymous sources actually painting a better picture of what's really going on behind the scenes than the public statements from Mark Cuban saying it's total BS, everything's fine. And then sure enough, look what happened. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely a place for anonymous sources is what I was trying to say.
And on top of it, Etan, again, you look at the reporter that put it out, Sam Amick, right? You said it was Sam? Yeah, again, Sam is a top-tier all-star reporter who has built up. So it's like it's certain guys that just don't have to do it. But in terms of the anonymous sources thing, that's never going to change. And again, some of the guys that you play with, and they're chatterboxes, and you guys have had to pull them to the side, like, what's really going on? Because I'm hearing this on this side, I'm hearing that on this side, and nobody know nothing. Nobody know. I don't have nothing to do with it. I don't know nothing. But it sounded like something that happened in the locker room. There was only 3 of us here.
Or the players' union, the players' union.
I think that my point is not to necessarily disparage. I think that reporters have to be very careful how they use the anonymous sources and how they use the information that they get, especially when it turns out that they're incorrect. So I think that's what it boils down to. You have to
but you don't know what's
very selective in what they use as anonymous source, because many times these anonymous sources I'll say that because Alex's whole point to me a lot of times is like, well, sometimes it's not that reporters they get necessarily bad information and they're reporting on the bad information that they get. And I understand that. But I also think that it is up to the reporters to do their due diligence a little bit better sometimes, or a little bit more thoroughly before they want to run off to say, okay, this is what I got from an anonymous source. And maybe a little bit more deeper checking and deeper.
So that's what I was saying to you is that the process that you're describing,
yes,
the good senior respected reporters are doing what you're describing.
And going back to my original point, I don't think that was done with the ACL announcement.
And I think that we have to wait to see how that plays out.
Okay,
but I would say Ton, your negative experiences in Washington, those reporters absolutely didn't do it, or they were talking to people that were misinformed. But I think you're right. There's certainly journalists out there that don't do it. But I'll use us as an example, basketball news, because I can't speak to how other places do things. I know USA Today, they had very strict sourcing policy to the point that they would miss stories because they had to wait and try to get a second source and they couldn't get it. So there are outlets out there that have very strict sourcing policies, and that's how we've been. And I'll just speak to our approach real quick. But I basically said to all of our staff members who want to break news, and there have been multiple times that people have brought stuff to us, and I say, we're a new company. We need to protect our credibility. If we miss 2 or 3 big stories, then we're going to destroy our credibility, and basketball news is going to be synonymous with wrong news or rumors and gossip, and it's going to be lumped in with TMZ like you're talking about. So I agree with you. I think it has to be extreme due diligence. You can frame something as a rumor and put it out there if you have it from multiple sources and it's credible. But there have been a few times where we've had to shoot down articles that, our own staffers wanted to run because they didn't have it. They didn't have the 2 sources, 3 sources confirming it. The source they did have. And now there are times I will say you can make an exception if you have it from the player specifically and you have a relationship that dates back. Oh, this guy was in my wedding. Like, okay, that's a little bit different. You don't need 3 sources for that. There are exceptions to certain rules, but there's plenty of times where we've shot stuff down at basketball news even. So I will just say that I think
let's not get it twisted. Now players lie too now, Tom. Like I mean,
is true.
Players lie too, like and try, because like you said, now when you talk about narrative and setting narrative, make no mistake about it, the media is oftentimes used as tools to create conversations, trades, to create value, create interest. And a lot of times you got the younger reporters jumping at that and being put in positions where sources are burning them. And then the real story is going to the guys at the top end. And as someone who worked their way up from thank God I've never got burned by a source. But, when you talk about good reporters, bad reporters, and all this stuff, I had the story of the year. Broke story was all over the place. And I had a fool that worked for the same outlet and me telling everyone 10 minutes after everyone is talking about the story I broke, saying that it ain't true.
Oh, wow.
Like, what the hell? First of all, who is this guy? Like, who are you? Like, they didn't come here to see you. They came to see me. They've been coming to see me for some time now. They didn't come to see you. But again, so you get guys like that. So you're not wrong in what you're saying. But specifically, like there is a process because it's all relationships and it's all communication and it's what people are telling reporters. And there's a certain group of reporters that get all the news first, and they're getting it from ownership, they're getting it from management, they're getting it from players, they're getting it from agents, they're getting it from managers, family, friends. Like the information is constantly coming to them. I would imagine that certain guys in the top tier, they get so much stuff coming across their desk on a day-to-day basis that you would be amazed to read the stuff that they don't write about.
Agreed.
And I think the players should be thankful that look, let me tell you something. I wrote a lot of stories, a lot of great stories. The shit that I left in my notebook that I didn't write, that's the real stuff. That's the most
the stuff that you and I were talking about at 2 a.m. on phone calls, Jared.
Brother, I could write 3 books and a couple of movies on the stuff that I did not write.
I can confirm that.
I'm not even talking about salacious stuff. I'm talking about basketball stuff.
Yeah. Trades that almost happened.
Conversations like that people will be like, what? That happened? I'm talking about people calling me after I leave the practice facility like, please don't write this. You understand?
And that's where relationships come in. Most times journalists don't want to run that story. I've had conversations with people and they want to run a story that's going to burn a bridge and it's 100% accurate. We've confirmed it, but I'm telling them, is it really worth burning this relationship? Because you're never going to be able to interview this guy again. You're going to piss the team off. You're going to make the agent and the PR people upset. Like you have to weigh all that stuff because there are times where you have something, but it's like, is it really worth putting it out there?
Anytime when I tell you that Alex and I worked together, we were 2 different outlets and we worked together and we had an absolute monster, a career making story.
Don't say too much.
A monster and couldn't write it. And it was a monster. And we had it dead to right. We had 5, 6, 7 different sources confirming it and could not write it.
And people on the record too, Etan. So you would have liked this one.
Monster.
On the record. I do like when people go on the record though. I got it. I got it.
But to be clear, every journalist would prefer the on the record source. Like that's why you've seen in recent years there's been a transition. Before everything free agency was according to league sources. Now there's agents have kind of realized, hey, if I say according to the agent, I get some publicity and get my name out there, and that helps me with recruiting too. So there has been a shift now where agents are like, no, put me on the record. I want it. Like the best thing ever is when you can put something out there and you have it on the record. So at the end, it clears you. The scariest thing is when you put something out there, it's according to league sources, and you're worried, okay, the team, they have an agenda. Do they want this out there? Are they going to deny it? When it's on the record, you're safe as a journalist. So I agree. I mean, it definitely is the preference of everyone involved, but that just doesn't happen every time.
But you got to be careful with that you're not allowing yourself to be used as,
that happened when I was younger.
As a tool. You can't, it's a fine line that you have to walk, because if an agent is coming to you and telling you one thing, but they're telling 5 other reporters something else, there's a movement here. It's not exclusive. The smartest thing, Etan, I ever did in my journalism business is when I broke the story of the year, and that was the Dwight opting in story. When he asked me if I want to put something out, I said 3 words to him. I think 3 or 4 words. Not without a quote. Was that 4 or 5 words? Not without a quote. And he gave me the best 2 quotes that he ever did. And that, to me, now, anything I wrote after that, because I was plugged, but anything I wrote after that, people believed it because they understood that I was plugged in. I had that information. And it was cool that he went on the record, but would it have made a difference if he didn't at that particular time, if the information was dead to right?
If the information was wrong, if the information turned out wrong and you didn't have him going on the record, yes, it would have made a difference.
So I'm glad you said that. So perfect example. Reporting about, the way, not to bring him up, but this is just what happened. He was supposed to get traded to Brooklyn and everything was in place. But then on July 11th, the trade talks died down. So it didn't happen. So everything I had been reporting up to that point was accurate. But then something changed. And I also, along with Alex, reported that the trade conversations had broke and that it wouldn't be happening now. Am I wrong for that? I'm reporting what I'm getting to the moment in real time,
the thing.
And then it changes. So I was
interesting.
Wrong in saying that he should be in Brooklyn by July 11th, but I wasn't wrong until July 11th when they decided, well, we ain't going to do it. We changed.
Here's the problem with social media today. Fans want more information than ever. Fans are hungrier. They're studying salaries and the CBA and stuff like that. So they want real-time updates. They want to know, hey, here's the players that this team's considering in the draft. Here's the trade talks that are happening. But then you have to understand, like, this a ton. There's a million trade conversations that happen. And every year we get 20 trades on a good year, 15 trades, something like that. So there's so many different times where you report, there's times where I've talked to both GMs from teams and they've confirmed that a trade talk happened. So I put it out there. And then when the trade doesn't happen the next day before the deadline, people are like, oh, you made this up. It's not true. And it's like, no, the talks happened. They just didn't agree to the deal. So everything's fluid. And like you're saying, it's not, to go with what Jared's saying, it's not wrong. It just didn't happen. But it's like, do fans want the real-time updates as they're happening and know every step of the process or not? That's really what it comes down to. Because that's what we have back in the day with newspapers and things like that. You didn't have real-time updates because social media wasn't there. You got trade news when the trades happened. Now it's evolved.
You had to wait for Peter Vesey to do the scoop du jour, or because he had all the information back then. Like, so it's all and let's be frank. It contributes to the interest of the league. It helps everyone. Now, look, guys making stuff up, reporters making stuff up, it hurts the reporter industry because it fractures the trust between players and reporters. And, but the NBA summer is better than the Major League Baseball's entire season. The idea of where a player might go or who's getting fired or what's going on, that's more interested than how many home runs whoever plays for the Dodgers or anybody else has.
This is a great comment. I rock with y'all, but this is a podcast. Change the title. Yeah, we have a tendency during these watch parties to start with the game and then veer off to whatever topic we're passionate about. But we appreciate you hanging out.
We do.
It makes for good replay value. You can watch it the day later and it still makes sense. But
that's true.
Yeah. Well, real quick then, because I do want to talk about the game a little bit. And that was a great conversation. I appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts there. It's 79-79. 27 seconds left here in the third quarter. The problem with some of these conversations is we get so passionate talking about it that we're not watching the game as closely as we should be. But I'll give some stats here. Giannis has 28 points, 10 of 18 from the field, also has 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block. Drew Holiday, we talked about earlier, still struggling, 2 of 15 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. He does have 6 assists, 5 rebounds, but only 4 points. No free throws. He's basically just missing a bunch of shots, 2 of 15. Chris Middleton, 4 of 16 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. He has 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Let's see.
Give me that Harden. Give me that Harden, Alex.
Yeah,
James Harden, 17 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 of 13 from the field, 1 of 9 from 3, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. So a lot of free throws, struggling from 3. I've seen him miss every time I look up, I feel like he's missing a 3. KD has 31 points with a whole quarter left, 10 of 18 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. And then Blake Griffin, man, we talked about it earlier. 6 of 9 from the field, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 4 from 3. He's playing really well. Joe Harris still quiet, 7 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3-point range.
Joe. It's so crazy because Joe was really like he couldn't miss during the regular season.
Open shots.
Like he could not miss.
They need him to do what Seth Curry's doing in Philly, where Curry's scoring 9 points per game off catch and shoots or opportunities. He's shooting 55% on catch and shoot threes, which is insane. By the way, shout out to Seth Curry. He's shooting 60% from the field and 59% from 3 in this series, scoring 21.8 points per game. It's been insane to watch what Seth Curry's doing.
Give Ben Simmons some of that credit too.
No,
now,
that is true. But that's what Joe Harris. They needed Joe Harris to be that catch. Yeah,
but
I like Ben. Let me ask you this: if because people are saying that if like scenario, so if they do not win tomorrow, is Ben Simmons gone? Because I've been hearing that conversation a lot.
Well, we're talking about Daryl Morey, who's the king of trades and tinkering. So I mean, it would not surprise me. But the question is, what can you get for Ben Simmons? And if you're a win now team, does it really make sense? Are you going to get enough value back for someone like Ben Simmons? That's why Clips was saying they really missed out on the Harden trade because those superstar players don't become available that often. So if they had a chance at it,
Ben Simmons a superstar?
Well, that's assuming.
No, but I'm saying there's not a superstar out there. There's not a superstar out there to get.
Down on Ben Simmons. Like I said, I'm not giving up on Ben Simmons. He is a high quality player, but what they're
top 20 player, Etan? Is he a top 20?
I don't know.
I'm just asking.
You have to look
Can I name 20 guys that I would say were better than him? Probably so. You know what I mean? Probably so. But what I'm saying is that as far as his ability, I think that the things that I've heard of people wanting instead of Ben Simmons, I'm like, I don't know if that's an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, where does the team want to go? How, if you move him, what are you bringing in for him, and how does that change the team, right?
The interesting thing
that's the decision that you have to make.
If
you're not adding anything
want Embiid
to
traded.
him,
a lot of Sixers fans are saying trade Embiid. That's been the thing with Philly. They want Embiid traded.
You don't trade. Yeah, you don't trade.
Who's saying that?
Joel
hey, look at this. There are Sixers fans and people in our chat right now saying trade Joel.
Yeah,
Joel.
That's true.
And Doc, come on now.
Joel Embiid is the
outside
best
the cube.
center.
Come on now.
Joel Embiid is the best center to come in the league since Shaquille O'Neal. Why the hell would you even think about trading that guy?
Nah, you're not going to trade.
Why the hell would you Why the hell?
The argument is that Simmons is younger
right now, injured. His knee is.
That's the argument. That's the argument. Embiid is injured a lot. He has the injury concerns. He's older than Simmons. That's the argument. But I agree with you. I would not trade Embiid. But I've heard a lot of Sixers fans saying that they feel like Simmons is the guy to keep, and you trade Embiid. I wouldn't do it, especially after this series. But that's what Sixers fans are saying, man.
They're bugging.
Nah, they tripping.
Whoever said that is bugging.
Hold on.
That we agree on, Jared. Whoever said that is bugging.
Okay, so wait, we have. I just tweeted this out, and people are jumping in because we're talking Nets and Bucks here. We have a close game, a 1-point game, entering Game 7, entering the fourth quarter of Game 7. I was saying it doesn't get any better than this. What are your guys' thoughts? What do we need to see here in the fourth quarter? Based on what we're seeing in this game, KD will continue to take over. He's been dominating. It's been incredible to watch. He's been doing this all series. It's amazing he's doing this so soon after hurting his Achilles. He's a superhero. What are your guys' thoughts on what has to happen here in the fourth quarter?
I'm looking at it right now, and I'm seeing Holiday as far when you named what his shooting percentage was. I saw him just drive. I'm a little bit behind you. I'm like 9.2 seconds left in the third quarter. I saw him drive and then dish off to Giannis for the dunk. He's going to have to start setting people up. I mean, if his shot's not falling, I don't know if it's going to do him any good to keep shooting. I know he has to be that threat, but if it's not falling, there comes to a certain point where it's hurting you.
And you traded 3 first-round picks and swapped 2 other first-rounders for Drew Holiday, and now in your biggest game of the season, he's 2 of 16 from the field and 0 of 5 from 3 and has 4 points. That's brutal.
Well, give him some time. You still have the fourth quarter. But, what we talked about it a little bit earlier. They're doing more. They're running more action with Giannis from the wings, and not from the top of the key. I think if you continue to do that, then maybe maybe that's where Drew starts to facilitate more and get Giannis easy shots cutting to the basket, so he's not always caught at the top of the key and taking bad threes.
Yeah, this is a great game though.
It really is.
Making KD work for everything though too. They're putting
that right there. See that? You see that action right there?
No, we're missing it.
We're all on different streams right now. This is
I love the kid operating from the wing. I do not like him operating from the top of the key.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I just saw it now.
He's an entirely different player from the wing. Entirely different.
If I'm Milwaukee, I'm trying to get Forbes in the game to knock down some buckets for him. That's what I'm looking for. They need somebody that's going to knock him down.
Yeah, he's not. He's played 5 minutes tonight. We've seen both teams. I mean, as we see in the playoffs, often shrink their rotation.
How many minutes has Jeff Green got
6 minutes. The Nets have only played 7 players. Jeff Green had 6 minutes. Shaman had 7. Everyone else, they've been rolling with the starters.
Yep. Which is weird to me.
Now, why after Jeff?
Is it weird? Have you ever watched Phoenix? Have you ever watched the Phoenix Suns and Mike D'Antoni's 7-8 man rotation? It's not surprising at all.
Steve Nash and D'Antoni on that sideline.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
Go off.
I'm not gonna go off because we want to stay on topic. So I'll just shake my head.
It would be a Nets topic at least for the first time tonight. I will say that.
I'm hearing Mike D'Antoni's name as in some of the head coaching vacancies. I'm like, what is it that y'all are seeing in this dude that I'm not like? What are y'all seeing? Why does he keep getting more and more opportunities? Like from the moment that he quit on the Knicks and blamed Carmelo for everything. Wow. That should have been the absolute end of him.
Facts.
Lives to fight another day.
And keep fighting. Sorry, I'm not going to go on a tangent on it, though.
Yeah, no. Listen, I go there with you because ever since what they did to Marbury, so I wasn't.
Carmelo?
Yeah. Melo, at least Melo had a second, Steph did his thing over there, but what was done to Steph wasn't cool at all. Like that, you don't do that to somebody. You don't do that to somebody, man. He did everything they asked him to do. Kid came in, best shape of his career, was ready to run. Like Chris Duhon, no disrespect, was getting doubles in that system that year that Steph was supposed to start and all that other stuff. And they didn't even play, they ain't tell him when he was playing or he was out of the rotation until opening night. Yeah. Fans chanting, "We want Steph." Come on, bro. It's just bad business, man.
Yeah.
So real quick, Chris Middleton just missed another shot. 5 of 18 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. So that means that let's see, outside of Giannis and Brook Lopez, and then some shots by PJ Tucker. That's basically been the Bucks' attack tonight. It's kind of crazy.
These guys got to get to they got to attack the basket, get to the free throw line, see something go in, and get themselves into a rhythm.
But the problem is right now with Giannis. Now, once you get towards this fourth quarter, you want to put him on the free throw line. You know what I mean? And that's the part where we said that can't be his Achilles heel. He's too talented of a player for that to be his Achilles heel.
I'm talking about Chris. I'm talking about Chris Middleton. He needs to attack the basket.
Well, the shot's not falling.
Get a couple.
But somebody got to knock down shots.
But I'm saying if he gets to the line, if he can get foul time, he can get a couple of free throws to see the ball go in, get into a rhythm. Then maybe he can find something.
I got you, but the outside shooting between him and Drew, it's atrocious. Somebody got to knock down shots.
Don't you miss the days when guys would throw a ball fake and step in, go to the basket, and lay it up, and not throw a ball fake and just sidestep you and take the same three they just had? I really miss that, me personally, to a ball fake and go into the basket. It still works. I assume it does. It works at the YMCA.
It's a different basketball.
We got a game, fellas.
It's a great game.
This is going to come down to one possession, man.
It is.
Real quick, Drew Holiday, and I'm about to tweet this out, actually. Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are combined for 7 of 34 from the field. That's 20%, and
Good
1
Lord.
of 10 from 3, 10%.
Why would you leave him that open? You see that, right, John? That's what you
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Damn, they complain after every play now.
Yeah, I know.
Every play is it is so ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Did Blake Griffin hit this? Oh, I would have been.
No, he missed it. That's what he's talking about. You don't leave him that open.
Right, I agree.
You just don't.
Yeah.
You got lucky there.
Connie,
No, he forced the three. Did he get fouled on three? Yeah. Oh, that's not a foul, baby. That's not a foul. That's not a foul. That's not a foul. That's not a foul.
Hey, does anybody think, real quick, like watching? I talked about it on our show today. Like Embiid is great, and I love watching Embiid. But does anybody think like this guy is literally going to die on the basketball court? Like he looks like.
Don't say that.
Well, okay, I'm saying that.
Knock on wood.
I'm knocking on wood. Like he's one fall away from that knee being a wrap.
Yeah, I mean he's dragging it. Like you can see it. It's the way that he runs up the floor, just in a regular change of, you know what I mean, from offense to defense. That knee is like dragging like 2 steps behind him. You can see it.
I don't like the way he throws his body around, but I do think that he has control of his body. So a lot of times the falls look worse.
They look
than
terrible.
What they are. They look worse than what they are. But I believe that's because for the most part he's in control. He definitely is trying to sell a foul all the time. And he takes some nasty spills, but other ones where it looks bad, you look like he went down in game 5, and I thought that he hurt his other knee. But it's just kind of the way he throws. He throws himself around. I think it'll be okay.
Jared.
I certainly don't think he's going to lose his life on the court.
No, I didn't mean that. You guys know what I'm saying. I didn't mean it like that.
It looked like, I know what you mean, though. It looked like somebody's uncle going to the Y and hooping the way he moves.
Hey, Jared.
The way his body moves. When
he looks like Ric Flair when they throw Ric Flair into the rope and he's doing all that stuff.
Right.
It's kind of how he looks, but Rick was in control of his body, and I'm assuming that Joel is also.
But when you're 280, 290, falling more than 6-7 times a night is going to take a.
Ric Flair was a big boy. He wrestled until he was 65.
Wrestling is fake, guys. Okay,
the falls are real, but you missed my point. I think that if you're in control of your body, you can control the falls and how they come down. And look, it's not saying
that's what you think Embiid is doing. He's controlling
I think
his body.
I think he's in control of his body, so the falls look worse than what they are. I think he's trying to sell a foul, and this is his way of flopping.
I think maybe Jared. I know Alex doesn't know this, but I said on our show today that the person, because I was obviously a ball boy for the Clippers, 94, Harold Ellis from Morehouse College was a Clipper, right? He was 6'3" and had a size 17 shoe. I had never seen a dude fall more than this guy. He couldn't run up the court without falling on his ass. Embiid is like this. Like Embiid is on all game, dude. All game.
He definitely spends a lot of time on the floor. But I think it's the Ric Flair thing that he's doing. I think a lot of it is Ric Flair. I think a lot of it is theatrics. And yeah, he does get hurt a lot. Sometimes, it doesn't work out. But I think he's in control of his body, and it's all part of the repertoire. Because it happens so often.
It happens a lot.
And a lot of times you don't expect him to get up when he goes in. Like, damn, definitely either mess up his back or the knee or something, and he gets back up and he comes back and he gives you 10 straight.
Well, it's not as bad as AD. Okay, we'll just say that AD goes through 7 or 8 injuries a game.
But I don't think he's he's not flailing and faking it. He just runs into a string of bad luck. It's just his body fails him. I think Joel is selling the foul all the time. I think Joel is constantly selling throughout the game. Every moment he is selling the foul, the fans, everything. It's really an experience when you watch the guy.
Yeah.
Every moment from the second he's on the court to the second he loses, Joel is performing.
Okay.
Real quick.
One way or another.
One thing that Tommy Beer said, he joined us at halftime. For people that may have missed it, he's at Barclays Center right now for basketballnews.com. He said that Giannis looks exhausted out there. And he said he's not sure if they're highlighting that in the broadcast, but just watching his body language and stuff when he's on the bench and things, he looks exhausted out there. I mean, and can you blame him? He's had to do everything tonight with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday struggling. He's got 33 points already, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 37 minutes. How tough is that now to go into this fourth quarter and Drew Holiday's still not making shots? Chris Middleton's not knocking down shots. So they're really relying on Giannis entirely. And then what they get here and there from Brook Lopez, and unless those guys do turn it around here. But the fact that he was exhausted at halftime, I mean, and he's had to do a whole lot this whole series. How do you think that factors into this?
This whole game is athleticism. He's going to be exhausted. You know what I mean? It's not like that's his game. Like the way he plays, he's going to be completely exhausted.
I think he's either going to make plays or he's not going to make plays. But everybody's tired at this point. KD's tired at this point. Blake, everybody's tired. So he's still getting up above the rim, and he looks like he's heading towards a strong finish. So
I've seen a few people asking this. The fact that this game's still close with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday playing the way they are, it's pretty incredible.
That's a good point.
Not really. Not when everybody all around. Like, we're still talking about Joe not being able to hit shots. Jeff Green, who was big in game 4, game 5, he hasn't played
Harden
tonight.
Struggling.
It's evening himself out. It's a good game. I think everyone is playing decent, trying to do something. But scoring is not something that you're going to get from everybody. A couple of guys. KD's going to score.
Your franchise player is tired because he's playing his ass off, dude. He's trying to do everything he possibly can to keep them in this game and to win.
Got to guard. Post his little ass up. Is that Jeff Green finally in the game?
So good. Jeez.
I missed it. We're so behind.
I'm at 91-88, 7:55 left.
I'm at 88-89, 805 left.
How am I I'm always behind. How am I the guy that's leading this? That's crazy.
You're probably not paying your cable, but you're probably streaming from your neighbors.
I need to stop stealing my neighbor's Wi-Fi. That's what it is.
Hey, I'm streaming.
We don't talk about that, Jared. I told you that in confidence.
Sorry, bro. So I think I'm up to so Giannis is blew by Jeff on my feed, dunked it.
Yeah.
It looked like it was the dunk and one, but they didn't give it to him, which that's bad call.
Oh, we realize who that is, and that's Mark calling the call, right? So hard.
No, keep the ball. Why would you give it up? Keep the ball.
It's always going to be hard when Mark's reffing the game. Always.
Bad shot. Oh, it went in. Oh.
Yeah,
Chris Middleton just hit it. Chris Middleton just hit a bad shot, but it was a big shot, but it was a bad shot.
I just saw that. That was amazing defense and a horrible shot, but it finally went in. Maybe that can get him going.
You see what I'm saying? Like, when they make that switch, why are they not giving the ball back to Giannis and put your shoulder down and go to work? And if the double comes, kick it out to me. I got a open 3. But if not, go to work.
That was a tough shot. Definitely a tough shot. Middleton's so nice. He's really underrated. He's up there with me and CJ McCollum. Just so talented. But like, who's the second? Is it like everybody says a lot? Like Giannis it would be a great number 2 on a team, right? Like a great number.
You saying who would fit with him?
No, well, I'm just saying like maybe Giannis shouldn't be your main focus.
That's what Kendrick Perkins and players have been saying the last few days. Oh, he's the Robin. Chris Middleton's the Batman. Like, that's been a big thing people are talking about the last few days. I mean,
Giannis need a point guard. He need a Chris Paul. He needs a traditional point guard. Somebody that comes down and gets you into your offense immediately, and make sure everybody's at a distributor. He needs a old school point guard.
How many of those are there, Jared? There's none of those guys left. Chris Paul's the last.
You got Chris Paul. You got Chris Paul. You got Rondo. Mm-hmm. Ricky Rubio's not around anymore, right?
No, he's on Minnesota.
He's on Minnesota.
Like Ricky Rubio. I'm not sure if he's a starter, but he needs a point guard. He needs a point guard. He needs somebody to come down, clear it out, get him the ball where he needs the ball. No, I'm not giving it to you on top of the get to the box. That's what a guy like Chris Paul would do.
Hey, Outside the Cube asked Alex a question. He said,
"Yeah, let's put it back up."
Alive?
The people in the chat are debating this? Is KD the best player alive right now? There's always talk of LeBron, obviously, but I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Depends what week it is.
Jared's a big Steph Curry guy. I don't know if you were here earlier, but he was. I would go with KD right now.
Yeah, I'd have to go with KD. And no, like you said, 1A and 1B. I mean, they're all right there. But I give it to
pound for pound to me.
Kawhi gets no love. No love.
It was incredible to see what Curry was doing at the end of the season. That was ridiculous. And hey, I want to plug this really quick. Rex Chapman had Steph Curry on his podcast in the middle of that stretch, and it was a really evergreen interview. It's still relevant right now. If you're on our YouTube already right now, you should watch that Steph Curry, Rex Chapman interview. Rex has known the Curry family for 30 years, so they talk about amazing stories. It's really, really good stuff. Check that out.
That quote with him and Muggsy was great. He's
had Muggsy. He's had Shaq, Steph Curry. Every week he has some star player. I mean, Steve Kerr was this week. It's incredible what he's doing. Etan too. I mean, I'm so blown away by the guests that you and Rex are able to book, and I'm jealous, to be completely honest with you.
Yes.
Etan's had Mark Cuban. Like every week, Etan's like, "Oh yeah, I got so and so," and I'm like, "That's incredible."
Yeah, you guys are killing it, bro. Like
that's right. Etan, why not go with the right hand in and out there? Why go with the left hand in and out into the defense?
Etan's still in the second quarter, so
no, I didn't say it. I'm a little bit behind you though. I just saw KD hit a jumper. It was 88-91. I'm at 752.
Giannis went left hand in and out. He should have went right hand in and out. He gets the layup, even if he misses the free throws. It didn't make any sense at all. Oh goodness. You won't like that clip when you see it.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what am I?
Oh, it's an N1?
No.
He
No, remember,
airballed
I'm behind
again?
Yeah, no, that's
Are
not.
you serious?
Can't do that. Can't do
Are
that.
you serious,
Can't
man?
do that, big fella. Can't do that.
Hey, real quick, Etan, people are asking about Kwame in the chat. I just saw someone bring up Kwame. He's coming on your podcast, right? You guys recorded that?
Yeah, we recorded already. It'll come out this week.
Awesome.
So it's crazy. We was talking for like 2.5 hours. So it's we hit a lot. So we touched on a lot. I'll just say that.
Kwame gets. Like, Kwame was
That's
in
amazing.
games one night, and we just went so far right. It was ridiculous.
Oh, we definitely did. Were you talking when he was on the
Watch
watch
party?
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
before Kwame was a YouTube sensation, he came on a
He was
watch party
here.
and hung out with
Right.
us. He did this
Kwame
exact
was-
show.
This was when Kwame had 800 followers, guys. Just to let you
Yeah,
know.
right.
And now he's blown up. So
Yeah.
That was there were clips actually of that on the YouTube channel. If you guys look that up, it's Kwame from this watch party, and then there's also Etan did a great episode of the rematch with former Wizards players that kind of talked about their experience playing with Kwame, what they saw behind the scenes, how he was treated by the media, treated by MJ, and that's a fantastic episode too. So definitely watch that. It's all on this YouTube channel on Basketball News. Check it out.
You know, as a reporter, I don't ever remember hearing him speak. You know what I'm saying? Like
He didn't talk. He didn't talk to the media.
I don't ever
talk.
That's why I was so
recall-
shocked. Like 3-4 years ago, I was at Hoops Hype still, and I was so shocked because the Big Three reached out and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do an interview with Kwame?" And I was like, "Wow, I've never talked with him really because he didn't really talk to the media." And I don't blame him. Now knowing how he felt about the media, it makes sense. But we talked, and like you're saying, Etan, it ended up being this like hour-long conversation. We got into like everything, you know, all this misinformation that was out there about him. He told his side of everything, and I was blown away. Like I legitimately believe that article on Hoops Hype might have been the best interview that I've ever been a part of. And it wasn't because of anything I did. He was just like, you could tell he had years of things he wanted to say. And he was finally like, you know, it's kind of like we're seeing right now. And he started speaking out. It was really, really interesting.
They poked the bear with Kwame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? But again, because you know, this is you guys' platform and all that stuff. I understood it at first, and I was tuned in, and I agree with a lot of things that he was saying. But like at some point, it kind of went in an entirely different direction. Yeah. And then, you know, Judge Joe Brown is up there, and I thought that was a train wreck, and I was like, I'm out. Like, you know,
I think the chats. Some people in the chat are saying the same thing.
Like, hey, you know what, bro? Like, I don't like, you know, you can agree with the you know, the premise of what someone is saying, not getting into like he was going deep certain things, and I'm just like, well, you lost me, but I understood where you were coming from. But then with the Judge Joe Brown shit, I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
I mean, with our conversation, there's different topics that we agreed on and different topics that we disagreed on. And we had regular conversations like we had when we were teammates. And the thing about it was, you know, I went on his podcast that he does on YouTube after we came out with the one with the Wizards, because he referenced me a couple times in them, and he said, "Hey, you can ask Etan Thomas. He was right there." You know what I mean? So I'm like, "Yeah, I was right there." So we all talked about it. But there are different things that me and him disagree on that we've always disagreed on. So we just had those conversations. But there's also a lot of misconceptions about him. And that was from a lot of different misreporting, a lot of from different rumors. And there's a lot going on with him. I mean, he was 17.
I always wondered though with him if he understand. I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things for him because it's his journey, it's his story, it's his struggle, it's his pain. But I wonder if he understands that the idea that he was mistreated and the way he was treated factored into the way that, you know, like his development and all that. I wonder if he like people get it. Like that's not a hard sell. People like, yo, like he was treated poorly. You can't be some 17, 18-year-old kid and have some grown man calling you all out your name and not know how to function within that space. And, you know, there's nobody bringing you up or teaching you all of this stuff. Like, you know, it's hard for him to play with Mike. It's hard for him to play with Kobe. Like, and that's what he had to do. And it, you know, like you either can or you can't. It's either for you or it's not. But I don't think that was ever lost on anyone. And while it wasn't reported, and you know, perhaps that was a mistake or something that people look past, like it's not a hard sell. Like people are with him when it comes to that. Like, yeah, like the stuff you're saying isn't unbelievable. Like, you know, you put it all out there. It's, you know, it's tough to hear, and you know, you didn't know the extent of it. Right. But you know, him being mistreated, that's not a hard sell, bro. Like people believe that. Like, no, like you can see it. You can see it happen because you don't go from being good enough to be the number one pick to something happening where it just doesn't come together. Now, again, like with the podcast, I don't know him, and I don't pretend to know what his pain is or what he's feeling, because I haven't had to go through exactly what he had to go through. I have had a point, when dealing with somebody, in the industry that, had put me and my family through some stuff where I snapped, and I got to that point where I was saying some things too, and it was what it was. But it was leading somewhere, and sometimes I look at the brother and I say, where is this all going? Because
I think it's definitely leading someplace. I think it's leading for I don't want to get into it a whole lot because we're gonna take away from the game. It is like a really good game, but basically it's just as far as for him personally, I understand why he came out the way that he came out against different members of the media. I understand why it was the last straw. I understand everything that he said about Stephen A. Smith in particular and Skip Bayless, because I was there while all of it was going on. You know what I mean? And the way that they created almost like a caricature of him, and and made him to where every time they said his name, it was throwing shots in the way it's a lot with it. It's not just simple, but then it's bigger than him. Then it's about how, the media changed at some point to where it was performative, and it's become like acting and degrading players or making jokes about this and doing. And so there was like a shift with ESPN in particular. And now you have the talking heads, and that's what they do. But when Stephen A. Smith, and we keep mentioning Stephen A. Smith because he kind of like started the whole thing. And when he started doing that, specifically with Kwame, you go back to the tape of it. I did an article and I put a whole compilation of stuff that Stephen A. Smith was specifically doing with Kwame. I mean, he got a right to be hostile.
Listen, he has a right to be mad. I think that with players, I think that the media, it's become like an entity all in itself where there's no separation between analysts and performers and beat writers, right? Because I don't know if he would have any issues with any beat writers, because if he's not speaking to them on a day-to-day basis, they're not killing him, right?
But no. The answer is the Washington beat writers, the Washington Times, the Washington Post, in particular, beat writers at that time. There are issues with them as well. So it was a collective.
So they were killing him in the same tone.
Yeah, it was bad.
I agree with Jared though.
Like observation, like if he has, because what he has to understand, if he has a bad game, someone
but it wasn't just about the game.
So because I wasn't there, so I can't.
That's what I'm saying. I was there, so there was stuff that I wrote about when I was like, yeah, I remember I would go out to eat on the road with him, and I read these articles. It was by Sally Jenkins, I think, Sally something like that wrote for the Washington Post.
Yeah,
and she wrote an article literally of everything that was not true. She said he didn't know how to order food. He didn't know how to drive. Like they painted this picture of this country bumpkin kid that didn't know how to put on shoes, and he was just in this new thing in the NBA, and it was kind of going towards why high school players shouldn't be getting drafted into the NBA. And it was and I was there seeing it all. I remember reading it. I was like, well, this isn't true. We go out to eat all the time. He orders food just fine. You know what I mean? Like
he never established a relationship with any.
I would say everyone, make sure you read Etan's article about it on Basketball News. Yeah. If you go to the site, you can go to his profile and you can read all of his articles, but that's an amazing article. It's really, really well done. So I did want to shout that out. And then let's get back to the game in a second, but go ahead, Jared.
Did you see the James Harden shot, or am I ahead of y'all?
The bank.
I'm at a commercial now, so I didn't.
So
I'm not saying nothing.
I wish that Kwame, and I wish this for all players, that at some point, there's a member of the media that you build a relationship with, where you trust enough to speak with them and be able to, to get your story or get your story out there the way you want it told. Like somebody you trust enough to sit down with them when something like that comes out. Like
what MJ did with Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah, or or Stephen A. and AI, or Ali and Cosell, or myself and Dwight.
I got you.
It's a laundry list, but I think that it's important so that
Kwame didn't have that.
Clearly didn't. And I wish the brother did, because to have to inject, because he really didn't say anything. Like I can remember covering him when he was with the Lakers, and You know, if he had a good game, he would go to the court. But now, for the most part, like he never said he didn't bother anybody. He never said anything. He didn't hear anything.
He kept quiet. Yeah.
I think it's really important too, and Etan's been very, he's been an advocate of it. Like Kwame was nice, like he was really nice.
Yeah.
And he just maybe wasn't in the right situation a lot of times. Etan will tell you, dude, he was serving every other person that was coming in that draft. Like Etan has said he should have been the number 1 pick. Like he was the nicest one in that draft.
Oh,
and
definitely.
People are so focused on, he was the number 1 pick and didn't. He made $64 million. He made a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I mean, look. I'm all for being able to like beat writers.
Finally, Drew Holiday hit one.
They're gonna have their opinion on what the game and what they see in front of them. And they have the right to write about it. And they have the right to opine. You would hope that people are respectful in what they say. If you're not playing well, if you're playing great, people have the right to write that.
And that's fair game. But what they did with Kwame was personal, though.
No. Look, I'm not. I'm speaking in general now. With him, with Kwame, and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I get why that would affect him.
That was different.
What can't be missed was that there was he was not producing for whatever the reasons were at the level of a number 1 pick. And I don't think that it's unfair or malicious to say that. And I don't think that I don't think that
issue is with the off-court
limited to him. No, that not knowing how to write order. That's a whole bigger set of issues.
But that's what the issue was. It wasn't for not playing. It was for all the other stuff, all the performative stuff that Stephen A. Smith literally did. Every single time he talked about Kwame. Every time
he did to Kwame, he did to Slaven Medvedenko and all this.
But he did to Medvedenko for a while and then moved off him.
Because Medvedenko was gone. Kwame stuck longer than Medvedenko. So
maybe that's why he did it longer.
It was Kwame, it was Slaven Medvedenko. It was a couple. But Steve, Steve is heavy-handed when it comes to these guys, and it is a part of the performance. But I ultimately believe that, and it's totally up to him. I think if he picked up the phone and he called Steve and had a one-to-one conversation with him, I think that he might get some closure and maybe an apology. And whether
I think Stephen A. Smith should have been the one to call Kwame and give him an apology from the beginning.
Maybe he did. Maybe he had, but
he did not. I asked Kwame. I don't have to say maybe. I asked Kwame.
Okay, so he hasn't.
He has not. What Stephen A. Smith did was go on ESPN and run a blooper video about Kwame and double down on everything. All he had to do was apologize, and it would have been over.
Etan, no, because when it first came out, someone asked him, like, yo, what are you going to do? And he was like, Kwame's right. It's been going on for 20 years. He's been retired. His name was brought up.
He never said, I apologize. No, that was what it for him to do. It wasn't saying
okay, hold up. We're talking in circles here. Let's finish the game. We can get back to the Kwame stuff. No,
that's why I want to start it.
It's an interesting conversation.
Can somebody address Cube, who's been hitting us up all the time in the chat? Somebody address my man.
Let's finish this game. We can get to Kwame stuff during post game, but
that's Cube right now.
That's
Middleton is a star.
He ain't a star.
Chris is definitely, people are saying in the chat right now, they're talking about how he stepped up this quarter. People are showing you some love a ton, which is awesome. Shout out to Pat.
Appreciate it, Pat.
But yeah, so let's talk about this game right now. It's 101.99. We have plenty of time. We can talk post game about some Kwame stuff if we want to and get into all that. But
Kwame, we're done with the Kwame.
Hey, one last plug though. Etan's podcast, The Rematch. Kwame's coming on this week. You don't want to miss that. If you like the Kwame talk, that will be coming this week. Check that out. Okay,
from the wing, Etan from the wing. You got to run from the wing.
I got you. I agree with you on that. I agree with you 100%.
Hey,
player from the wing.
Etan, real quick, I was trolling your comments today, and I got a lot to say to your boy Gilbert Arenas at some point.
You got to understand, Gilbert likes to just argue with people. I know. Comment on Gilbert most of the time. Gilbert just likes to argue. If you let him pull you in, he just goes to keep going with you.
He pulled me directly in today.
What was the comment about? What was it? I didn't even see it.
Back, the flippers comment. I was getting into the flippers. He was talking.
The flippers thing. Yeah,
he's good at that. He's good. He's a professional troll. He's great at
it. He is.
He antagonizes my every thought.
Yeah.
He's doing it.
I remember when Gilbert did like a fake date. Like he was on Twitter and he was on a date with some lady. He was killing like this dragon can eat and all this other stuff. It was really crude. But it was hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, he made it all up like he wasn't there, but it was hysterical.
Hey, Gilbert was the first. He was a trendsetter. Agent Zero blog, like that was some real stuff back in the day. He was a trendsetter, and
I wish we had Gil in Orlando long, and I wish we got him when he was out because he was great.
And we didn't even get I think in Orlando he was like on his best behavior and stuff. We didn't get like the Gil that you got in Washington at the time. For better or for worse. But
Drew Holiday, what's good, son?
Man, you way behind, man. You better hit the refresh button. I just got KD hit a shot.
Sam. I just saw KD. Dude, KD is
get your life together.
Get my life together. I need to get my Wi-Fi together.
Yeah. KD has 40 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He is 13 to 25 from the field. Incredible,
KD, man.
They're going at it. They're going at it.
Welcome to the game, Drew.
Welcome to the game, Drew. I hear you, B-boy.
And he goes for another. Let's go, Drew Holiday.
And KD goes for another. KD and Drew are trading punches right now. This is awesome. Hey, real quick, while everyone's here, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We have tons of great content. We do these watch parties all the time. We have 11 podcasts that are part of our network, so definitely subscribe. Appreciate you. And download the Basketball News app. How to get that plug in there. This has been an amazing game. We picked a good game to do this for.
There's no way KD can continue to play 48 minutes a game going into the next series.
That's not sustainable, huh?
No, it can't work.
He don't look tired. Like we talk about Giannis looking tired. KD don't really look tired to me.
Hey,
he's been off for 15. It was like 15, 16 months that he got because
it's a condensed season. You coming off an Achilles injury, that is going to blow up in their face if they continue doing that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think he's gonna be okay. I think he's gonna be okay.
I think eventually they won't need him to play 48 minutes because Kyrie will come back. Harden will be 100%. Like they don't need him.
Yeah, but he's had a lot of time off. I mean, you got to remember he got hurt in the 2019 finals.
Let's coming off an Achilles injury.
Shut down, and then he didn't
48 minutes was still 48. Man, I mean that's a lot of time.
But he might be feeling okay now.
Hey, fun fact: Wilt Chamberlain averaged 48.5 minutes over the course of a full season. Isn't that insane to think about? That might be the most unbreakable record in NBA history.
No,
even more so than 100.
Never fouling out of a game playing 48 minutes a game.
It's wild.
For
people that wonder, he averaged 48.5 minutes because they went to double overtime, triple overtime. He never left the floor once. It's crazy.
Why would he slow down? Hey, you got a guy. Etan again, right hand in and out. You got a guy with a bad hamstring. Why not attack that man on the fast break?
Hey, this is why I love NBA Twitter and being so. This outside the cube is saying Katie's been getting fouled all game, no calls. And then let me pull up this. A few minutes earlier, someone said you can tell the refs want the Nets to win. Every call has been going against them. Like you got both sides. That's how you know when officiating is good, when both sides are equally upset and saying the same thing.
Katie's gotten to the line so many times. I don't know what you're talking about, Q. Like he's getting to the line anytime he wants. Real quick, like look, moving forward to the next series, if Brooklyn makes it, like Kyrie's not going to be 100%. That the ankle injury is not going away. Harden's not going to be 100%. That's not going away. Phoenix is the healthiest team minus COVID going into the Western Conference Finals. The healthiest team is going to win the championship this year. I
definitely agree.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
Sorry, I just
when is Chris Paul going to be able to play? Real quick.
So he's missing game 1, and I mean, really, it would have helped if that last series went to 7 games, but it didn't.
But it didn't, Alex. We're starting tomorrow.
But it didn't, Alex.
But yeah, so he's gonna miss game 1. That's already been reported out there. I mean, I think we'll probably get him back around game 3 if I had to guess. That seems to be the timeline.
Give me two in Phoenix, guys.
That's tough.
Can we just give me 2 in Phoenix? Give me 2. Look, because what are the Phoenix Suns without Chris Paul? They're the bubble Phoenix Suns. They are last year's Phoenix.
Hey, they looked okay against the Lakers when Chris Paul was injured and out. They won some games there.
Dog.
This ain't the
Lakers. Clips. They get to the Western Conference Finals once, and Clips gets all cocky. Look at him.
So, I mean, what are you taking them in 6? You taking them in 7?
I said on the show that I think it'll go 7, depending on. First of all, I think somebody's going to get suspended. We're going to fight somebody on this squad.
Oh, yeah, not fighting nobody. Ain't nobody.
Are you kidding me, bro? There is so much beef. We have so much beef.
Listen, ain't nobody scrapping out there. Can
I finish my – let me finish.
You know what? Go ahead.
Hey, you guys are going to fight.
No, I love Jared.
Oh, Drew.
You gotta fight. You gotta fight when Jared's in the room because I gotta get a word in sometimes.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I won't say anything. Go ahead.
Jared, I love you. I follow everything you do, bro. I saw your son, and I'm like, dude, I know everything that he's doing in his life. I see everything you do.
Well, I appreciate it.
I think it's gonna be look, there's underlining issues. There's beef. Chris Paul and Rajon, beef. Booker and PG, beef. Like there is a lot of beef going on through this series. There's a lot of undertones that I think are going to come into play. I'm curious to see how Ty plays Zubac. Like, are we going to play Zubac on DeAndre?
How are they feeling it now?
Oh, yeah, we're behind. Darn it. Milwaukee's up 3 with a minute to go in my book right now.
They're 4. They're 4.
Oh, I'm at 3.
Right.
Now it's 4.
And PJ's talking shit to – sorry, can I
You're
cuss?
good. No
Okay.
worries.
You know, I try to not say any cuss words.
I've been cussing the whole 2 hours we've been on.
I haven't cussed yet. Have I cussed?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ton. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
I'm
Hey, there's
sorry.
no rules here. There's no rules. Don't worry.
Cool, because I love the conversation that like PJ's having with KD and his mom in the front row.
I
love
did see that a little bit.
I love it because they're
Did you see there was a quote from PJ the other day, and he said that like when he was jawing with Blake Griffin, Katie told him like, "Hey, don't get thrown out of the game talking to Blake. Like then we can't play together." Like KD was saying he wanted to keep him in the game so they can keep going at each other. He was enjoying it.
You guys know that PJ was KD's big homie at Texas. Like
Right.
Yeah.
They go way
They're real
back. But it's
close.
not. There's no bad blood there. It's just all fun.
No.
But it's been cool watching them go back and forth.
Yeah.
The same thing like last night, people were saying PG and Donovan Mitchell and stuff. Like they have the same agent. So like sometimes there's those connections off the court you don't realize. I think they train together and stuff. Like it's a little different with those guys.
Real quick, we don't talk about Donovan enough. That guy was absolutely phenomenal.
He was crazy on a bad
and he was hurt.
wall hurt. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah,
that kid has a lot of Dwayne Wade in it.
100%.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
agree.
Wade. A lot of Wade. Clips, listen, ain't nobody fighting, brother. It's gonna be a good hard fought basketball series.
Mhm.
You know, and it's gonna be a lot of joy.
Hey, bro.
Might be some separation where you got to separate.
No, it'd be some of that hold me back stuff, but ain't nobody pulling.
Hey, you know who's gonna get the call for about 7 minutes a game? You know who's gonna get the call?
Me?
Boogie Cousins, bro. Boogie's gonna be getting the call a little bit. Bang up.
Boogie ain't fighting nobody.
Okay, bro, look, Jared, I know we don't talk a lot. I exaggerate. When I say fighting, when I say fighting, I don't think people are going to throw hands, okay? I just think
It's not going to be like Zoe. It's not going to be like Zoe and LJ back in the day.
Yeah,
No,
you can't do that. You can't like you can't say somebody going to fight. It's like no, if somebody's coming to me.
All right, Rondo spit on Chris Paul. That's what they fought. They actually
swung. Yeah, they swung though.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a whole lot of dudes getting up at each other's personal space. Then when the series is over, everybody gonna hug each other.
Jared, you being the WWF Ric Flair fan, I like to bring Flair to the rooms. Okay, I'm trying to bring some personality here. When I say I'm just doing this for showmanship. I'm trying to get Gleaming the Cube to listen to my podcast to follow.
Ric Flair is more likely to get into a fight with another wrestler than the NBA player.
I'm trying to,
Kevin freaking Durant.
Dang.
109, 107 on my end here.
You got 109, 107? Who?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
46
Chris
points
Middleton
for
closed out.
KD. KD has 46, 13 in the fourth.
KD
He's
is
a
a
killer.
monster.
and PJ's
Oh, you got to
doing
get that rebound. You got to get that
Hey,
rebound.
Jared,
Yes, sir.
best player alive right now. Don't come out with that Steph Curry stuff. Are
Steph-
you watching
Steph
this game?
Steph Curry.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
got to get that. I got to tip my head to KD on that one.
Yeah,
And I love Curry. I love Steph.
Listen, Brooklyn, you got to get that rebound. You just can't. You got to get that rebound.
And look,
KD's gonna hit
KD, they showing KD now. He don't look tired to me.
7 seconds left. 2-point game here. Milwaukee up 2.
Drew's dribbling it out, or they call a timeout. Hold on.
No, I think it went out.
Alex.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were asking the question. I didn't know if you saw.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm at a timeout right now.
Hey, can you guys remind me to bring up? I want to bring up a question to all you guys.
Okay. We'll remind you.
Please remind me.
This has been an amazing game.
Oh, this is bad. What's going on? You let him run 3-4 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I think it looked like Blake went to foul him and didn't realize they didn't call it. Yeah, that's so much time off the clock. Blake was looking like I just fouled him. Oh wait, maybe
No,
Blake
was looking like
he was looking to the coaches. Yeah, never mind. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wrong there. I thought he was looking like I thought he fouled, thought he fouled and it was over. But yeah, he was looking at the coaches. That's a mistake.
Are we in a timeout right now? Can I step away for 1 second? Okay.
I'm coming out of a timeout.
Oh, whose ball is that? Whose ball is that?
Why hasn't Jeff Green
It
played
sounded
more?
like Clips fell.
It did kind of.
He's excited.
So the winner of this series, do you guys think the winner of this series wins the championship of the world?
Don't let Clips hear that.
Yeah. Clips would disagree.
But I agree. I think that's the. I mean, then again, I think it's probably going to be whoever wins this series. I would go with that. I wouldn't feel super confident with it, but that wouldn't surprise me. 8.1 seconds.
Dang, you're ahead of me. So what? Where were you?
Okay, I'll be 8.1. They're about to end
hold
now.
on. Let me see what
Okay, yep.
about to do. Oh, he missed it.
See, this is where Milwaukee, this is their best shot. The Nets are only going to get better year after year. We don't know how long this window is going to stay open. It's usually like a year or two shorter than you expect it to last. But the Nets don't have the chemistry. They have injuries right now. Like, this is Milwaukee's best shot at a championship with Giannis because it's only going to get tougher year 2, year 3 when this Nets team's together.
I mean, they don't have Kyrie right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You got to take advantage of that.
Leg.
Take advantage of that. This is their shot. You went all in on this team. We talked about the trade for Drew Holiday. They gave all these guys money. Giannis, Drew got 135. Like, you got to take advantage.
Kevin Durant got to watch it. They're going to try to throw it into the backcourt. No, they won't. They can't throw it into the backcourt. Why the hell would Lopez do? Come on, you got to
hold on one second.
Awareness. You got to have awareness. Got to have awareness. He was waiting for Kevin to foul him. Kevin didn't foul him. That's a shot clock violation.
Wow. It's on. I don't know where you're at. 6.1 seconds. Nets ball down 2.
They down 2? Dang, yeah, I'm at 47
Gotta be aware.
seconds.
Time and score.
Okay.
Oh, that's terrible.
If you want to mute us, feel free, Etan. I don't want to spoil this for you. We can get back to you afterwards. Totally up to you.
I'm gonna mute y'all for a second. This looks
okay,
like
I'm gonna add Clips back in. I'm gonna take you out. You can take your headphones off, and we'll add you back whenever you're caught up.
That is horrible. You can't do that.
Hey, Mac the Goat said, "Show y'all TV." Unfortunately, we are not a broadcast partner, so we will get in a lot of trouble if we have any highlights on the TV. Yeah, so I wish we could. It's a good idea, but we can't show the game, unfortunately. So yeah, ideally you could just mute your TV and listen to us. But I wish we could do it.
Win? You go for the win right now, KD for the win?
No, go to the right. Go beat him in overtime. Go to the right.
I agree. But then again, KD's played every minute. He's going to be exhausted in overtime. It's going to be who's more exhausted, KD or Giannis.
Remember, game 1's going to be Monday, right? So, no, it won't. It'll be Tuesday because Philly's still got to play, right? So if whoever wins tonight's going to have till Tuesday.
Does Giannis guard KD here? Is the question. That's what everyone's saying.
No, PJ's on him.
Yep.
PJ's on him. Listen. I attack, but KD will pull up for the 3 now.
Why did Etan leave? What happened?
He's behind, so he's going to join back in once he's not. He doesn't want to miss it. He's like at 40 seconds left, so he's going to see what happens, catch up, and then jump back in.
What if they throw the deke and just Harden takes this 3 for the
What if they with that? Are you not good? I can live with that.
Okay.
He's 2 of 10 from 3.
I can live with that.
He's 2 of 10. That's scary.
Jared wants BK to win this. I know he does.
I am from New York. I'm not from Brooklyn, so I don't want.
Hey, Steven, it's not an issue of being able to watch the games. It's that this stream would never happen again. We would get banned and blocked. Like, I wish we could show it, but we can't. Hold on, Jared.
Jared, you.
Oh, God. You see that?
Oh, Jared. Here we go.
Hold on.
Lord have mercy.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Wow. He's incredible. Wow.
You gotta see the shot. Come here, look at the shot.
Little man woke up.
Wow.
Kevin Durant hit the shot. He's almost as good as Steph Curry.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, what a shot.
Unbelievable.
Look at this stuff.
Oh, I got you, Steven. I see what you're saying.
Is that a 3? Is that a 3, son? No, it splits on the line.
Is it?
It's a 2. It's a 2.
This is game 7 to tie it, to bring it to overtime. You see this shot? Look at that.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Look at this. Oh, my God. Look at that shot.
Wow. He's so good.
You see that, son?
I hope we get overtime just for the sake of this stream. It's going to be a lot of fun if we get overtime game 7 for a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals on the line, man.
His size.
I got a crisis. I don't think my son wants to play basketball. That did nothing for him. Nothing.
Isn't he playing baseball though?
He's young though.
He's gifted, man. He can shoot it. I wasn't shooting it at 6 years old. He's shooting it. He's handling it. But he's just like, yeah, okay.
But he's young.
What you do? He's got no interest.
He doesn't know the
He
stakes.
he's passionate about goddamn Pokemon and Beyblades and
Hey, I was too at that age though. It'll come.
I told my son, I'm looking forward. I bought the whole roll of seats to go see Space Jam. I think my wife did. I know it's the intent. I'm like, look at the trailer. We're gonna go see Space Jam. He's like, all right.
Space Jam will get him though, because if he's interested in Pokemon and all that stuff, it'll be a good little pivot into that.
I mean, granted, it's not Mike, but this is all right. He's like,
real quick, hey, this is a good question. Who takes the shot here for Milwaukee? It's got to be Chris, right?
I think this is where we see what Coach Bud does, right?
Draw something up with Giannis going to the basket. Try to get a lob with Giannis. You got 1 second, so try to get something with Giannis going to the rim.
You got to do Dwight Howard versus San Antonio.
Can you guys give it away? Can you guys not give it away though? Because we are.
Listen, I'll try my best, but
you won't, Jared. You won't. I know this.
I'll try. I promise I'll try.
We're gonna mute Jared. Actually, we'll add you back. Look how mad he is.
Sorry, Jared. No, but I can tell. Oh boy.
Okay, you're back, Jared. I won't actually mute you.
I didn't see. You can't blame me. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that was crazy. Maybe Drew. He's been hot. Shout out to Pat here. This is an incredible game.
Please don't get.
I really just want overtime for the sake of this stream. It'd be so much fun watching another few minutes of this.
Where does Jamal go? Where's Jamal?
Yeah. He might be joining in still. We'll see. Jamal, David Vanterpool. We will see. Jamal's in LA coaching his son's team, so we'll see.
That's a terrible call. You got to draw something up better than that.
Well, we can't see it, Jared. We don't know.
Wow, that was hideous. All right,
you got to draw something better up than that.
Let's go. I'm happy we get overtime. Selfishly, this is great.
You got to draw.
But yeah, that was awful. I agree.
Yep. That's what we want. Good shot, Giannis. Shot clock. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier.
He only had 1 second, so he couldn't. But Magic Johnson would have did that touch pass, would have got it to Connaughton over there. You see him open. That was magic. This is but he's no magic. But
Jared, how old are you?
40. I'll be 42 next month.
Yeah, so
I'll give you my address so you can send me.
What do you want me to send you, Jared? I got you. I'll send you a Clipper jersey.
No. Oh, you know what? You can, but don't send it to me. Have it made for my son. So every I go and I get him jerseys from every arena. But everything's shut down, so I haven't been to arena in a while. I don't have a Clippers joint for him.
Have you got him a KD jersey? Is the question, because he needs one.
He doesn't. Jared doesn't wear another man's name on his back. All of his jerseys say Rudolph 2.
See,
so
that's why I messed with
you. Yeah. So now,
no wonder he's not interested in the game. You don't let him have a favorite player. That's why he's not interested in the games here.
He used to like Steph. His room has Michael Jordan posters all over it.
Okay.
He's got the Wings poster. He's got the door but he has 3 of his jerseys that I got for him framed and hanging up on the wall. The Orlando Magic jersey, the Knicks jersey, and I want to say a Bulls jersey.
Okay, Clips, hook that up real quick. So we've seen, obviously, we've been talking about this game all night here. KD's playing 48 minutes. Now it goes into overtime. He's got 48 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, is he going to be tired? Is my question. We talked to Tommy earlier. He was saying that Giannis looks exhausted. Giannis has played 45 minutes. That was kind of a criticism of Coach Bud in the past, that he, pull his guys out there and not play them big minutes. He's played 45 tonight. He has 38, 10, and 5. What are you guys looking to see here going to overtime?
A lot of the same.
Yeah, I agree. Look, man, you got to start feeding the beat. If KD's on fire like he is right now, keep feeding him.
Yeah, of course. But does Giannis, do you think they make an adjustment in terms of who guarding KD? Does fatigue start factoring in? Like, what do you guys thinking there?
If I'm Giannis, I'm thinking that I have 5 minutes for the rest of the rest of this NBA season, and it doesn't matter how tired you are. You dig deeper, and you are the 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. You say, "I got this. I got him."
What I don't understand is the argument he always makes is oh, well, it's up to the coaches. It's not up to me. And it's no, you're Giannis. This entire organization is yours. If you say I'm guarding him, they're not going to say anything. They're going to let you guard him. Step up, be assertive.
Clips is giving the speech that Al Pacino gave in Any Given Sunday.
I was getting fired up there.
Like
It's not Any Given Sunday speech, bro.
It was kind of Any Given Sunday
original.
It was kind of Any Given Sunday esque.
It was Any Given Sunday inspired, but it was Eclipse original.
They're trading punches at this point. So it's the first person that blinks is the person that's going to lose.
Or it comes down to free throws, y'all. Like that's what happens. Who can hit more free throws?
Hey, so Pat is saying KD's too skilled for fatigue to play a factor. Giannis is less skilled, relies on athleticism, so fatigue will play a bigger factor for Giannis.
No, fatigue, but no, there is no.
I see what he's saying.
There is no tired.
I mean, yeah, you can say that, but I see what he's saying there. That makes sense.
Joe Harris.
No, if they're not running an athletic game. I mean, it's 109, 111. They're actually playing a little bit of D tonight.
So now, another Mr. Middleton. Man.
I'm behind. Damn it.
You hit that? Oh, God.
That's a good look. Middleton got a good look, man. Got to knock.
Yeah, he did. He's now 8 of 23 from the field. Drew missed another shot. Drew's now 5 of 23 or 5 of 22. Like, man, if these guys make just a couple more shots, I mean, obviously it's obvious, but this game's over.
That's a good look. Drew got a good look.
Yeah, they both did. Yep.
Push the ball. Push the ball. There you go.
Dude, you could tell Harden, they're playing off him so much.
Yeah.
Harden can't do anything out there, man. Like, they're literally begging him to shoot, and he just did. He's 5 of 16, 2 of 11. Harden's not doing anything. But I get it. Like, at least he has a reason. But man.
But Alex, the Bucks are reeling. It's like you gotta get the smell. The Bucks are reeling. You gotta get the smelling salt. There's something not right, and Giannis has made a terrible read.
Yeah.
That shot, the KD shot might have shaken him up.
What a great game.
What's
111, 109.
Oh, ripped. Oh boy. How are we so quiet right now?
So they're
because some bad shots.
Giannis switched onto Harden. Here we go. KD, Giannis. And KD put up a horrible shot, but shot clock was slow. But we had Giannis KD for a second.
It's not enough.
Now Giannis is on Harden.
Shoot that. You got to pull up right over.
KD. Hey, I love KD. KD's missing a few of these shots, but I love that he's like, no, I'm Kevin Durant. I have 50 points, basically. I'm taking over the game. I'm not passing. I love it. That's amazing. Those are 2 huge offensive rebounds, though. Wow. James Harden pulling a James Harden there.
Oh, ref, you can't call that, baby.
That's what I'm thinking.
You can't call that, ref.
I'm going
Harden
right now.
That was smart of Harden because, I mean, all of his points tonight, he has 10. He's been perfect from the free throw line. More than half of his points are coming from the free throw line. So I get it. But, yeah, that's a tough call.
It's genius, but you can't call that.
We just talked about this. Tell me this is an exhausted basketball.
Yes, they're tired.
He's absolutely playing a role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Agreed.
Shout out you, B-boy. You're right.
And either way, they're going to turn around and play another series like this.
And whoever they face is also playing 7 games, so they're going to be exhausted too.
They're taking terrible, horrible shots,
dude. And they're all Drew Holiday. Another one. Like this is so hard to watch.
Attack the basket. Get to the free throw line so you can have a second to breathe, catch your breath.
Drew got hot there for a second, and now he's completely cooled off, and he's missing everything again. Like this is so frustrating for your Bucks fan. That's tough.
Good looks.
Just let Giannis. Like I get what they were doing before, but
so I think PJ Tucker just fouled out.
They gotta let Giannis put his head down. I don't understand why they just keep letting Chris and Drew put these bad shots up. They've been struggling for most of the game. I get Drew got hot there for a second, but he's still 5 of 22, 2 of 9 from 3.
Now PJ, you got to be smarter than that.
Yeah,
you got to be smarter than that.
That's
be smarter than that. Got to be.
Well, now is the question: if Giannis doesn't guard him right now, what are we doing here?
Right.
What are we doing?
They're going to bring in Bobby Portis to guard him.
They had Holiday on him earlier. Is Drew going to guard him again? Like, what are you doing? I'm confused.
If you're scared, get a dog.
Oh, okay.
I like that. All right, let's see. No,
I don't like that call at all.
He's not guarding him. They got Middleton on him. Middleton, I will say, Middleton's done a good job on KD. That's something that Nekias Duncan pointed out. He's been talking about that through all series, that he doesn't understand those Holiday on KD minutes because Middleton's done a solid job. So hopefully Middleton can
What the hell is going on here?
Every shot is so bad. No one wants to rebound. This is insane. Yeah, go look. There it is. Giannis just no. I was gonna say, just keep giving it to Giannis. Let him put his head down.
Joe Harris.
Man, but Alex, he's dribbling into 3 people, man. You got to pull it out, or you got to wait for somebody to be able to kick it to. If you're drawing the defense in like that, he just like.
Well, he did. He found Lopez though. That's what I'm saying. Like they're running. You got to run the offense through him though.
I'll say something. The ball is hot right now. You know what that means, Alex?
Yeah.
Don't nobody want it. The ball is hot.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, if they're all extremely exhausted and they're missing jumper after jumper, go with the guy that shot 80% from the paint during the regular season and let him try to either get to the basket or create open shots.
That fatigue does something to you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about. I agree. I was the one saying that KD and Giannis were going to be exhausted, but I just don't understand why you don't give the ball to Giannis in these moments.
They don't got anything drawn up to get him an easy basket. And granted, yeah, they're tired, but you listen, man, you got to draw something up to get an easy basket.
Yeah, I hear you.
Sounds like you're quoting Hoosiers right now, Jared. Just saying.
I've never seen the movie.
That's his revenge.
You've never seen Hoosiers?
I've never seen Hoosiers. Nope.
You're a
Hey, real quick. This is the first overtime Game 7 since the 2006 postseason.
Ooh.
And Kevin Durant's 48 points are the most in a Game 7 in playoff history. This is like a historic game we're watching right now for everyone that's watching this.
Okay. Fun fact.
This doesn't happen. And KD's putting on a show. This is incredible. And Jared's son could not care less.
Couldn't give a damn. He's like, we finished? What are you calling me here for, guy? What's this guy hollering and screaming in there for? What's
Does
wrong?
that hurt a little bit, Jared? Does it hurt a little bit or not?
You know what? So long as he's a good person,
right,
and he's a productive citizen, but to say that I don't want him to hope that he'll do whatever he'll be great at whatever he does. But,
I agree.
B-boy, we had this argument in the beginning of the show here. We had Francisco Elson on. He played for Coach Bud in San Antonio, so maybe a little bit biased, and I think he admitted that. But he was basically saying that Bud's a great regular season coach, but we haven't seen it in the playoffs. The adjustments aren't there. He even acknowledged that. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying even if they win this series, Bud's got to go this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But how much is Bud sweating right now? He's probably,
you can tell on his face, Alex. Yeah, you see his face.
I mean, he always kind of looks like that, but yeah,
he looks shook.
I never look at someone's. I mean, you can see it in the expression, but the way that one calls a game when it's tight, and like the great ones when it's tight, they're coaching as hard as the players are playing. I don't see anything being called here that speaks to him going in his back. Like, all right, it's go time. I'm going to out coach. I'm going to coach circles around Steve Nash, first year coach. Right. Like, I don't see that. That's what I need to see. I need to see somebody got that clipboard up like, all right, we tired, take a deep breath. Everybody be cool. We're going to win it. Here's what we're going to come out and do. But they're not running anything.
Nikias Duncan, who I love, he's part of our staff at basketballnews.com. He said, and I thought Game 5 was a choke job for Milwaukee. I've seen some of the dumbest basketball of my lifetime in this series. And he said, get this off my TV. Milwaukee doesn't even want to win.
Yep.
He's killing Bud in Milwaukee right now.
That's a bit much, bro. I mean, that's
Nikias. Nikias gets fired up, but I see what he's saying. But the fact that everything he said, I get what he's saying. The fact that they're still in this and they're down 2 in overtime is pretty remarkable, considering Drew, considering Chris, considering everything. It's pretty wild that this is a close game right now.
It's because Giannis is playing a hell of a game too.
And Harden's struggling. Joe Harris is struggling. It offsets it a little bit. But yeah, Giannis is playing a remarkable game, which is why I'm saying give him the ball.
All right. Oh, finally on the box. I've been screaming, running from the wing.
And hey, who's guarding him? Who's guarding Giannis there?
I know nothing.
KD.
I know nothing right now.
Giannis just hit a great shot over KD.
Good help. Oh, good help.
Tie game.
Gotta hit that. Oh, God. Oh.
Someone said that. I agree with this with G Dan. I could see Carlisle to the Bucks too. I
said it on the show today. I love that. I love it. Carlisle to the Bucks or Celtics would be nice. Just throwing that out there.
Return to Boston. Hold on. Don't say anything. Middleton has the ball right now.
I'm not tired. They're fighting though, baby.
Joe Harris choke job.
Wow.
Joe got to hit that. You got to hit that.
Yeah. That's been the case all series long. Joe Harris disappeared.
Hey, give me the numbers he got. They extended him, correct?
He got paid.
Yeah, now he's paid to hit that.
People are asking, like, the thought is that Duncan Robinson is going to get a Joe Harris type deal. But yeah, if you get paid that and your job is to shoot and be the catch and shoot guy, you can't not miss those shots. I mean, that's your main job. Now, granted, that's not only what he does, but you know what I mean.
Biggest play of the game. Brooke Lopez help block on Kevin Durant.
I agree.
Help D. You gotta help. Where's my help? Where's my help?
And Jared, I am so not a fan of Brooke Lopez. I am not a fan of this man.
That's a huge block. I mean, I would say the KD shot's probably the biggest play of the game, but point taken.
No, Captain Planet, big block because we still playing, baby.
No,
big block from Captain Planet.
Mr. Disney.
That was big.
No, that's Captain Planet. Big block from Captain Planet.
Hey, I want to point out something. Etan is no longer in the waiting room. He just bailed on us. So Etan left.
What?
I'm gonna text them, but yeah,
that's probably my fault.
I love how
No, that was a good conversation. That was okay.
I love how Etan hit me up it was literally 4:30 a.m. my time. He's like, "Hey, bro, you want to talk about this Paul George?"
Etan wakes up very early. I've gotten some early calls and texts from Etan, but he's the best.
I think he forgets that I'm on the West Coast, and I'm like, "Sure, bro, can I put on some draws before I do this podcast with you really quick?" All right, bro. This is KD time, correct? And I know I'm behind you guys.
It's always KD time.
You're right.
That's true.
Could James Harden be that guy though? Because
of course he's James Harden.
Bro, Jared, I'm trying to bring dramatics to this.
But Harden's 2 of 10 from 3, right? Two of 11 now.
Big trouble. We got trouble here, fellas.
I don't know.
We got trouble.
Well, hold on. KD missed it.
Trouble.
So
I'm so far behind.
Big trouble.
KD's exhausted. You could tell.
That's a shot.
No, go get it.
I know. Etan left because he's still at 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter, so he's way behind.
Again? Oh no, not this time, baby.
Well, he's got that bootleg.
2 points, 10. Oh, here we go. 9 seconds.
Wow.
Hold on, 9 seconds left. KD's got the ball. Holiday's on him.
Not again. Not this time, baby. Not this time.
Wow. Yeah, he's exhausted. That air ball.
Yeah, but he had him on the spin. You got to take another dribble in, man. Take another dribble.
Hey, that's great on Drew, though. That
was great.
Yeah,
we got to shout that out because we've been going at Drew for missing so many shots this game and struggling and pointing out what they gave up in the trade for him. That's incredible defense right there.
Yes, I agree. 100%. Great.
So Bucks win the championship of the world if they hold on for this.
Hey, I think I wouldn't. I was more confident if the Brooklyn went through that they would win it all. I know Clips has his thoughts, and I'm sure they're a little bit biased here. But
Alex, I'm not biased, dude.
Okay, who do you got? I think Phoenix is actually really, really scary.
Wait a minute. Who are you taking out of the East, given the 3 that are left right now? Can anybody beat Milwaukee?
I said in the
Philly
beginning.
could.
Yeah, I said in the beginning of the I expected Philly to be there. Okay.
My pick all season long was Philly because I said Brooklyn had injuries, or not only injuries, but just no chemistry together. And I thought year 2, year 3, Brooklyn gets really scary, but no chemistry, a first-time head coach, all that stuff is scary for Brooklyn. So I've been saying Philly. Now, obviously, things aren't going very well in Philly right now with some of the things that have happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if Philly, came out of the Eastern Conference. But
you think Philly can beat Milwaukee?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's a bad matchup.
But which Bucks team shows up? Budenholzer, I'm so confused by this Bucks team.
It's different when you're playing against Brooklyn. It's different because of everything they're throwing at you and the expectations behind it. It's not the same for Philly. I mean,
I love
door is open for Philly, but that's a bad matchup for Philly. That's a bad matchup. It's going to be a lot easier for Giannis to operate and do what he does against Philly than it was.
Hey, shout out to Milwaukee. Going down 0-2, everyone thought this series is over. They were reverting to their old ways. They were struggling so much. Shout out to the Bucks. It's over.
All right. Hey, dude.
Sorry about that, Clip.
No, that's okay. Then let's talk now. Now it's time to talk a little bit. All right. Here we go. Yeah, Jared, here we go. Sorry.
What's going on, bro?
The texts are coming in, too. Everything's popping up on my Mac right now.
I mean, KD's got to take another dribble. Just one more dribble, baby.
But it's hard to fault KD in a game where he had what?
I mean, it's no fault.
He finished with 48.
It was a great game. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. But when you look at that, I'm sure he would even say it. when he goes back and look at, like, oh, if I take another dribble,
Yeah.
I probably get fouled, get a cleaner look. He should have taken one more dribble.
Cool. Let's give KD his props, but let's give Giannis his real flowers right now. Like, yo,
Right.
bro, you got to the Eastern Conference Finals. You played your ass off in the most important game in your career, and you put up the numbers needed to win when your players like Drew Holiday weren't showing up.
And he did it in the opposite fashion of this Brooklyn team. Like, everyone was like so pissed at Giannis when he didn't, when he signed the Supermax, because the thought was, oh, he could go to an LA team, he could go to Toronto, he could go to Miami. Like, everyone was so excited. He signed the Supermax. Everyone except for Bucks fans was bummed and frustrated that he did that. And then, obviously he's been recruiting players to Milwaukee and things like that. But in a game when his two other best players, Drew and Chris, didn't show up, as you said, he stepped up and beat the super team. Granted, Harden was injured, Kyrie wasn't playing, but it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of how these teams were built. So props to Giannis for doing this. It's an incredible win for him, and now a chance to win his first championship. And like I said, I think this Nets team is only going to be scarier year 2, year 3. It's going to be really hard to get past them. It's almost like the Warriors team, when everyone considered it inevitable that they would be in the finals and win championships there for a bit. This Nets team has that kind of potential. Now, granted, their players are a bit older, but this team is terrifying. So if you're Milwaukee, this is your best shot. This is your year, and they took care of business. I'm really impressed.
With horrible offensive schemes too. I don't care what anybody says. That was so poor offensively the whole series. I'm just saying
they gotta clean that up.
Okay, so Jared, who was with who didn't believe me earlier? Who was it? It was Francisco that wasn't feeling me on that.
Which one? About
just saying, their offensive schemes have been disgusting to me, just absolutely disgusting. And the fact that they pulled this out, and look, man, I'm looking at Joe Harris right now. Like, you choked, bro, and we have to be those people. Were in the media, and PJ Tucker, who fouled out, giving everything he had, playing Kevin Durant, who gave him the business the whole series. But shit, man, he made him work the whole series. So, wow, Milwaukee,
what a win!
You, bro, wow.
PJ's listen. PJ Tucker for this Bucks team is huge.
I agree.
That was a great pickup. Well,
there's not another perimeter player that they're gonna see next round or in the finals.
Ben Simmons?
PJ can deal with any perimeter guy they're going to see from this point on to the playoffs. He's not going to run into another Kevin Durant.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I was thinking more of like a player like PJ and Ben Simmons.
PJ. Oh, he's not like PJ. PJ shutting somebody down, like completely down. He's going to be a headache. I mean, look at it. I mean, whether it's Ben, whether it's Paul, Chris, Devin, they're gonna have to deal with that.
I'm with you. And
that's a problem.
So which team should, if you're Milwaukee, do you want Atlanta or Philly to win tomorrow?
Atlanta, 100%.
That's how I feel, but you were saying it's a horrible matchup, Jared.
I don't think Philly's a good matchup for him at all. I don't.
No, for Milwaukee or for?
I think Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee is favored to beat either. Now, obviously, I'm pulling for Philly because the Whites, with the Sixers. But I don't. For people that don't know,
Jared worked with Dwight for many years. So,
I'm with that.
So you're saying? So I agree. Philly's scary. I think Philly is scarier if you're the Bucks than Atlanta is. But you were saying that they match up great against Philly, so I didn't know how you felt.
I don't like the matchup for Philly at all. I don't like the Bucks matchup for them at all.
All right, let's go through that really quick then. All right, so let's just cross out Giannis and Embiid, right? Because they're both going to probably get their buckets regardless. Embiid plays Giannis pretty well too, but Giannis is healthy, Embiid is not. Okay, so then we go to Ben Simmons. We go to the point guard position, right? So who is guarding Ben Simmons on Milwaukee?
Doesn't matter. I think that you put BJ on the most effective and dangerous perimeter player, and you dare Ben or you make Ben beat you.
So PJ
on Tobias,
Toby, right? That's probably
Tobias or Seth if Seth is still cooking.
If Seth continues to have the Captain America super serum and continues to average 21 points on 60% shooting from 3, then something's crazy.
Don't you think he can though? Seth is that guy.
It's mostly catch and shoot stuff and pull ups. He's doing. I mean, it's not things that are out of his repertoire. This is what he practices, this is what he does. So, and he's been a great shooter forever. I did an article about this 2-3 days ago about Seth Curry and his journey to this point. And he said Del Curry had a great comment saying that to this day, Seth will tell you, I'm the better shooter. I'm the best shooter in this family. I'm better than Steph. Steph just gets a bunch of shots and he has free reign and a green light, but I'm the better shooter. Like Seth believes that.
Right.
And I love it. But yeah, Seth, I'm glad that he's getting some love because he's been playing outstanding this season, and in the playoffs, he completely elevated his game. He was averaging 12 points per game in the regular season, and in a very minor role. Now he's basically stepping up and helping them win so many of these games. It's been amazing.
I also want to say something really quick about Giannis. I was very adamant about this on our show, and I'm sticking by it. Like, look, man, small market Milwaukee Bucks, he's stuck with the squad. Yeah, $200 million is a lot of money. He could have gone to Miami. He could have gone to anywhere else. He's sticking with with Milwaukee, and he's now in the Eastern Conference Finals. There has to be something said for that, for the Dames of the world. You know what I mean? These guys that are extremely loyal. Milwaukee was the first place he went to in the United States, so it's really all he knows. So it's something that he's grown accustomed to, and he obviously loves the franchise.
And he's also said he hates big markets and they're stressful and stuff too, which is interesting.
Right. I just think Giannis needs to get a little more love as far as like, yo, dude, you made it. So now it's like that crutch or that weight on your shoulder is done. Like you made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You got there, right? And I know a lot of people won't be satisfied until you get that chip and whatnot, but you made it here. And there's a huge opportunity with, an injured Philadelphia or, Capella's nice, but I don't think he can guard Giannis at all. This is a really good opportunity, man, to come out of the East and play in the finals. The NBA.
Atlanta's got to be looking at it the same way, because they have so many. Atlanta's got to be looking at the same thing. Like, look, if we can get past Philly tomorrow, we have as good a shot as any because they can score from every position. And I think defensively, Milwaukee can switch. Essentially, they can switch 4 or 5 positions. It's just a bad matchup.
Okay, so with Atlanta, I was the guy at the beginning of the season said on paper Atlanta was one of the most underrated, nicest teams in the NBA. And we're looking at like what Gallo's bringing, what Bogey's bringing, what Lou Williams is bringing to that bench, which I don't think Milwaukee has. That bench isn't the same, right? If Forbes is your only guy you're bringing off the bench to make an impact on the game. Shit, man, I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. I think
I don't like the matchup with Philly just because you know what you're going to get with Embiid, but from a defensive standpoint, they can give everyone else that would potentially be, a scoring threat a problem. Like PJ is going to be a problem for whoever he's defending in Philly.
But then offensively, what are you getting from PJ? Which hasn't been much.
Corner threes.
Okay.
What he does, corner threes, but you got to draw something up cleaner now. Like, cause like I told you, I think Doc's gonna draw some shit up tomorrow.
So I'm with that. I don't doubt you on that. This is where Doc is really. I mean, he is good in these situations, I guess. Can he could Doc out coach Bud? Yeah, I think he could. 100% light years. Now, say Atlanta shocks everybody, because it would be a shock if Philly doesn't get out of this tomorrow. It will be. And Atlanta's
not really.
It is, though. Atlanta wasn't expected to be in the Eastern Conference Finals at all. It was Nate McMillan that changed all of this, bro.
Think about this. We had this discussion a few days ago on my podcast. I was saying that in the beginning of the season, if someone told you, hey, Atlanta is going to be in the conference finals when, right before the All-Star break, they were low in the standings. Lloyd Pierce has just been fired. Things looked awful. There were the rumors that Trey and John Collins were butting heads in the film room and there was drama behind the scenes. Dude, if you look at the way Trae Young was, treated by not only the fans, but also the players in the All-Star vote, that was really telling. He got 20 votes from players for All-Star. He had 65 last year. There were 11 guards in the Eastern Conference that got more All-Star votes from players than Trey did. He got the same amount of votes as RJ Barrett, Fred VanVleet, Malcolm Brogdon, Kyle Lowry. All these guys had more player votes.
Hey, let me say something. Freddie should have been an All-Star, brother.
Fred is extremely talented. But my point is, you went from him being number 2 last year in player votes and having all this respect and getting 2.5 million votes. Only Luka and James Harden had more guard votes than Trae Young last year. He had 2.5 million, 3 million. This year he had 900,000. People were fed up about the way he was playing, the fouling, drawing fouls. Steve Nash said it's not real basketball, and that was a whole big thing that happened. You had the behind-the-scenes drama. The team was losing. Coach gets fired. Trey's getting blamed for that, the coach killer type stuff. Like, it was awful in Atlanta. So where they are right now, and granted, there were injuries happening. It wasn't a complete, it wasn't entirely the coaching change or Trey playing better.
Didn't COVID hit them pretty well too? Was it them?
They had injuries. They had missed some players from COVID absences. Like, there were a lot of guys missing. Bogey, Gallinari, like, they were missing a lot of guys. But to see where they were at that point, if you told someone they're going to be in the conference finals potentially, that would be considered crazy. So props to them for the turnaround. It's really incredible. Real quick, we can keep this going. I do want to shout out to our sponsor, BetQL. Want to get an advantage over the sports books during the NBA playoffs? You need to download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bets algorithm scans over 350,000 bets per year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And they give you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet as well. BetQL has tons of other tools like sharp data so you can see who the pros are backing, and line movement so you can jump on betting opportunities in real time. Plus, you can save all your picks in one place so you can track your success, your winning streaks, and you can view your rank on their leaderboards. Head to the App Store or the Google Play Store now to download BetQL. If you enter the discount code BBNStream, like basketball news stream, BBNStream, you get 25% off any of their subscription offerings. They also have some deals right now because the playoffs are happening, so you can get a deal and get 25% off by putting in BBNStream. Don't miss out on the chance to beat your sportsbook this summer. Shout out to BetQL. All right, had to get that in. Clips, go ahead.
I got a fun fact that I was just hit up. I stay on social all day long. Somebody just texted me that. Actually, I'm not even going to say it. After all the source talk with Jared, I'm not even going to say what I heard. So never mind. I have to double check. I heard how Chris Paul caught COVID. And
no. Let's not do that. Let's be careful.
No, it's from a valuable source, but I'm not going to say it on this show. So never mind. Pass on.
Hopefully, whatever my man is going through, whatever brother's going through, he gets through it, and no one else in his family was affected, and he comes out safe.
100%.
I've heard that too, by the way, Clips.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
I don't want this. I don't want to know.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Western Conference Finals really quick. Then
let's talk about it, Alex. Let's talk about it, Alex. It's about time.
We have Clippers and Suns. As Clips mentioned earlier, you have so many storylines here. You have Devin Booker and Paul George. You got Rondo versus CP. There's so many different things, and it's going to be very interesting. First of all, who would have thought, again, going back to kind of the perception entering the season, Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals. I think everyone had written the Lakers in as being this team that was going to get there. Pretty impressive to see kind of both of these teams, what they've been able to do. Both teams have some question marks. Chris Paul is going to miss at least game one. Paul George obviously stepping up in Kawhi Leonard's absence, but losing Kawhi is huge. Clips, break this matchup down for me. I think the matchup for last series for the Clippers was great. Utah, they because they were playing small so well, and the Clippers switch everything. They also are a jump shooting team. I think it was a really bad matchup for Utah and Gobert specifically. How do you view this matchup for the Clippers?
Look, the one thing that really, first of all, I'm a diehard Chris Paul fan. He's in my top 5 point guards of all time. I stick by that. I say that all the time. Without Chris Paul, they're a totally different team. But one thing that Phoenix has been doing in round one and in round two is their energy is extremely impressive. They are playing hard every single play. They have shooters all over the court. DeAndre Ayton has been great in both rounds. Like, he's turning into the number 1 pick that we felt he should be. He's been really impressive to me. I think that even without Kawhi and even them with Chris Paul, we have a really good opportunity to beat this team. And I think we can beat this team. We're deep, man. We are so deep. And nobody can doubt that with the Clippers. Whether it's Luke, I know people will laugh, but like Luke Kennard can come in and get buckets. Rondo can get buckets. Pat Beverly, when he plays his sparing minutes, those minutes that he has are extreme. Like, everything he did in Game 6 was important, right? 2 big 3-pointers, some steals, like just getting in people's, grill. I think we can pull this out. Actually, I'm not scared of Phoenix. I would be more scared of seeing Denver than I would be seeing Phoenix from a Clippers standpoint.
You better get scared. a lot of what's going on with the Clippers is not based on the team that they're playing, but what Clippers team is going to show up. So which Clippers team is going to show up? You got to be consistent.
Same team that's been showing up all playoffs, bro. Back against the wall. Like you can shake your head all you want, bro.
No, I mean, listen, we'll see. We're gonna find out because you got to keep winning. And
no team in history has ever done what we've done in this playoff run, bro. None.
Yeah, it's the first time you guys got to the conference finals. Ease back, brother.
0-2, round 1, 0-2, round 3. We just beat the best team.
You shouldn't be down 0-2
4 times, Jared. 4 times in a row. We just beat the best team in the NBA. So to say what team is going to show up, this team's going to show up, bro.
You shouldn't have been down. You shouldn't have been down 0-2. We'll see what happens.
Well, we were.
We'll see. They got a shot.
You know who was down 0-2? Denver was. What happened to them? 4-0. Sorry. Later, Denver. Peace and love. We're out of here.
Listen,
peace and love.
We're going to see what's going to happen. They got, you got to be consistent.
Man, I've already won the championship this year. I've already won my championship, bro. I'm good.
Listen, we got to be consistent. I mean, if the best Clippers team shows up, and if Kawhi comes back healthy, I mean, on paper, there's no reason that they shouldn't. I mean, at the very least, be in the 6th game of the NBA Finals, right? But what Paul George is going to show up? Is the great Paul George going to show up, or the Paul George that everyone wants to?
Can Reggie Jackson continue to be an all-star caliber player? Like, what is? It's amazing what Reggie's doing right now.
I'm not surprised. Reggie's over. I remember covering Reggie a couple of games when he played in the tournament in Orlando. When he was at Boston College. Reggie can play. Right time, right situation. He's taking advantage. Reggie can. It doesn't surprise. What surprises me is that Reggie doesn't do it more often. That Reggie hasn't been doing it. That kid can play.
I think that's kudos to Ty, though, in realizing that, like, Reggie can be that guy. Reggie's nice, right? And this isn't just being Clipper fan. Like, he's nice. If I was an unbiased fan and watching Reggie take it at Rudy Gobert, take it at every play, like Reggie's second half of the season has been probably the best player for us, minus Kawhi.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Reggie. I totally thought. I mean, crazy athletic. This is nothing he can't do.
But it goes back to like which Reggie's going to show up because he's not always this player.
All the guys, not just Reggie. Is Paul. They are crazy and wildly inconsistent, and you can't at this point of the season. You can't be. You got to be a solid whatever you are. And it's either going to be good enough or it's not going to be good enough. You cannot be inconsistent. You cannot lose games. You're supposed to win quarters that you're supposed to win. Matchups you're supposed to win. You have to consistently at this particular point in time. You have to be good. You can't have lapses. You just can't. So
okay,
we'll see what Clippers team shows up. And if if the Clippers team that just won 4 straight shows up, yeah, it's going to be a problem. If they get Kawhi back and it doesn't mess up the rhythm, yeah, I mean, they got a very good shot at winning the championship of the world. But it remains to be seen. You have to see what Clippers, because Phoenix is going to be a handful with or without Chris Paul. They're going to be a handful. They got nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose.
I agree with you on that. I agree. Neither do we at this point, though.
Yes, you do.
We don't have Kawhi, Jerry. We don't have Kawhi.
Listen, it doesn't matter. You're not playing. Y'all are playing for so many different things, and this is not a 1-year thing. This is because look, if y'all lose, who's to say that that's the team that comes back? Like so, it's a lot of different things. The Clippers aren't. This is not a single serving. This is important. Like this is. The Suns have nothing to lose. The Clippers have a lot to think about.
No, we don't. Not anymore.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. But on paper, they got as good a shot at. I mean, look, I think that everyone before Kawhi got hurt and when the playoffs started, I think everyone saw them here, right? Thought it would be them and the Lakers, and either the Bucks in Brooklyn or against Philly. So
you know what? Let me tell you what the difference is.
The Lakers and Nets not being in it is the big surprise. But
you know why? LeBron couldn't get it when his second star goes down. Couldn't get past.
LeBron was also, he had played 4 games since March. He was injured too. He was coming back. I'll say that. Like
part of the game. Part of the game. Same thing with us. It's part of the game. Kawhi's going to go down. Cool.
We're going to see what's going to happen because that Jay Crowder, Paul George.
Do not bring up Jay Crowder and Paul George in the same sentence, bro.
All right. No, Paul is a more talented, accomplished player than Jay Crowder. But Jay Crowder is tough and he does his job every single night.
Mm-hmm.
Every single night. He is consistent. He does his job. You can always count on this guy.
He's also consistently inconsistent on the offensive end. Just to bring
but
he's
defensively, he's going to be defensively, he's going to be tough. He's going to be there. He's going to be in the right spot.
Ooh, Jared, I just feel like you want to see us lose. I
don't have a look. If I have to pick a team, I say I want them to win the championship. It's Philly because of Dwight. Other than that, I just want to see good basketball. But the Knicks lost in the first round, my brother. So I'm just a fan at this point.
All right, I'm with you. I'm a little upset at
Listen,
now.
Really quick, listen to this.
I'm about to jump off with him, brother. It's been 3 hours. I'm
about to say we got to jump off here. We're gonna wrap this up. I'll end on this stat. Jay Crowder last year was incredible during the regular season and then versus the Bucks in the playoffs. In the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals, he shot 7 of 38 for one stretch, 18% from three. And if you look at the Eastern Conference Finals and Finals, he combined. Oh, wait, sorry. There was one stretch where he went 7 of 38. And if you combine the entire conference finals and NBA finals, he was 20 of 77. So he definitely does go cold at times. We'll see if that happens again. But
the point that I'm making about Jay Crowder is it's more than his offense. Consistently,
for sure.
He is going to show up. He's always going to be a factor in the game. And defensively, I trust the guy. He's reliable. And I think he's playing well now. I think his confidence high. I think their confidence high. They got nothing to lose. And they're going to be tough.
All right.
We shall see. We are going to be back next week. I'm sure we'll be doing I don't know if we'll do a Clippers one because that might drive Clips crazy. Do you want to be on? I'm about to say I didn't think Clippers want to be or Clips want to be on a watch party for Clippers, but we will be here for the conference finals. I'm sure we'll do one of each. Maybe we'll see if it goes 6-7 games. Hopefully we can have another game 7. That'd be fun, but we'll definitely be back for more watch parties. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Basketball News. We put out tons of content. We have 11 podcasts that are part of our network. Clips and Drew. Follow through with Clips and Drew is one of them. Clips does an amazing job. Check that out. And also check out basketballnews.com, the website. We have tons of articles going up every single day. There's already stuff about this Bucks-Nets game up there right now. Even though we've been on here, it's magic like that. It just happens. It just goes up automatically. There's tons of stuff. We have exclusive interviews. Players like Kenyon Martin, Rex Chapman, Etan Thomas, James Posey contributing for us. So check that out. And we appreciate you guys hanging out. And until next time, thanks for